Chapter 60:12. Dead. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. Such a terrifying expert from the Xia family was close to the great emperor realm. Yet, he had been killed in seconds. They could not accept this. How dare you kill my uncle? You're dead meat. The Xia family will not let you off. On the other side, the young man who was suppressed by the Xia family roared. Lin Xian turned around and said, "It's your turn." He punched out. The armored young man was killed. Yu Xinzi and the rest fell to their knees. Another one had died. Two of the Xia family's experts had fallen. It was over. They had poked a hornet's nest. Given the Xia family's strength and status, they would not let this matter rest. At the 16th level of hell, the Xia family was enraged when they learned that the two people who had gone there had died. An elder let out a crazy roar. Who in hell would be so reckless? How dare he kill a member of the Xia family? Go. Kill him and destroy his soul. The Xia family was not to be challenged in hell. Now that someone had slapped them in the face, they had to kill the other party at all costs. The great elder even ordered the 9 nether soul to be sent. Was he going to activate that thing? The Xia family was shocked. Then, they laughed coldly. Once the 9 nether soul was activated, the other party would definitely die. There was an ancient altar in the Xia family. A black aura flew out from it and condensed into a black shadow. It was the 9 nether soul. Its aura was so terrifying that it could crush all the worlds. Its aura had reached the supreme realm. Go and kill the enemy. The 9 nether soul tore through the void and headed for the 15th level of hell. Boom. The place where the nether family was at was still filled with blood. Everyone was still in a daze. Suddenly, the void shattered and the terrifying 9 nether laws spread out. An extremely terrifying pressure swept out. An earth-shattering sound rang out. The nether family members were so frightened that they fell to their knees. What was this? Yu Xinzi exclaimed. This was the Xia family's method. Could it be the legendary 9 nether soul? What? The elders were shocked as well. The 9 underworld spirit only existed in legends. This was an existence that definitely surpassed the 9 crown king. Even Xia Juyo frowned. He said, Lin Gongzi, be careful. The 9 underworld soul is terrifying. It's a secret technique of the Xia clan. Oh, really? Lin Xian raised his head and looked ahead. Sure enough, he found a black soul with a gloomy and cold aura. Who dares to kill a member of my Xia family? The 9 netherworld soul shouted coldly after coming out. It's me. Do you have a problem with that? Lin Xian said in a deep voice. The 9 serenity soul immediately stared at the young man in front of him. It's you? Get over here and accept your death. Otherwise, I'll destroy all of your souls. The monstrous aura that the 9 underworld soul emitted had already reached the level of a supreme being. Fairy Yu and the others were on the verge of despair. It was too terrifying. This kind of power had completely surpassed the previous 2 people. It was not something they could resist. Just you? I don't care about a mere supreme being. Does your Xia family only have such an expert? What? Fairy Yu and the others were dumbfounded. Is he not afraid of a supreme being? How is this possible? How heaven-defying is this Lin Wudi? How dare you look down on me? Go to hell. The 9 nether soul was furious. He could not tolerate being challenged by a young man. He quickly rushed over, and the soul power on his body covered the sky and ground, crushing down. Lin Xian stood there and snorted. The dragon soul in his body roared, and the dragon-shaped sword aura on his body soared into the sky. It was as if it was going to tear the universe apart. Boom. The 9 nether soul was shocked when he felt the terrifying soul aura. He stopped in mid-air, bewildered. What was that sound? Are you from the Dragon Clan? Lin Xian smiled. He waved his hand, and the dragon-shaped sword aura flew out. The power of the great dragon sword soul continued to spread. He wondered if a mere soul could still survive after being destroyed by this sword. Lin Xian gently waved his sword, and the void shattered. On the other side, the 9 nether soul was dumbfounded. This sword aura? This aura. This was the power of the great dragon sword. Heavens, the great dragon sword appeared again. The horrifying 9 nether soul shouted in horror. In the next moment, all the power in her body disappeared, and she knelt on the ground. Greetings, Lord Dragon Sword. This scene left Yushinzi and the others completely dumbfounded. What did he just see? A supreme being level expert was actually kneeling now, and she was kneeling in front of Lin Xian. What was going on? Even the supreme being could not be compared to this young man? Impossible. In the distance, there was a man from the Xia family. He held a black gourd in his hand. This time, he came with the 9 nether soul. Her name was Xia Tian. He had been hiding in the dark and did not make a move. But when he saw this scene, his eyes almost popped out. The high and mighty 9 nether soul of their family was kneeling. Even Xia Jiuyo was stunned. To be honest, he had thought that there would be a huge battle. But who would have thought that the 9 nether soul would be so cowardly? Was this the power of the great dragon sword? Lin Xian was also stunned. The 9 nether soul knew the great dragon sword and was afraid of it. Wasn't it very powerful before? Lin Xian looked ahead and sneered. The 9 nether soul shook her head frantically. I was wrong. I didn't know that you were the successor of the dragon sword. If I had known, I wouldn't have dared to do it even if I had 100 guts. Where is Lord Dragon Sword now? Send my regards to him. The 9 nether soul's voice was trembling. Why? Summer, who was at the back, was completely stunned. The 9 nether soul said that the 9 nether realm had opened once a million years ago. At that time, a great emperor level 9 nether soul had come out and headed to the universe. We had wanted to show off our skills. But in the sky, a dragon sword streaked across and killed the great emperor level 9 nether soul. Her soul was destroyed. At that time, there were many experts from the Xia family following the great emperor level 9 nether soul. When they saw this scene, they all went crazy. Later, we found out that the sword was the great dragon sword. What? A sword light killed a great emperor. Xia Tian was dumbfounded. The people from the Nether clan were even more stunned. What kind of divine sword was this? A great emperor was like cutting vegetables. It was too unbelievable. Even Lin Xian was stunned. Previously, he had always thought that the great dragon sword was on par with an extreme grade weapon. But now, it seemed that was not the case at all. An extreme grade weapon could not easily kill a great emperor, but the great dragon sword seemed to be able to. He asked through voice transmission, Great Dragon, have you killed the 9 nether soul back then? Great Dragon said that there was an earth-shattering battle a million years ago. At that time, there were countless experts, and there were even several earth immortals. I've killed quite a few great emperors. The 9 nether soul was probably too weak for me to remember. Lin Xian was speechless after hearing this. Great emperors were weak? To be honest, he didn't dare to say such a thing now. Although he could kill great emperors, it was not easy every time. He had to go all out. However, Great Dragon said it so casually. How terrifying was the great dragon sword at its peak back then? Chapter 60:13. The submission of the 9 nether soul left everyone dumbfounded. Summer, who was behind him, also roared crazily. How could it be like this? Ancestor, you are the 9 nether soul. Can't you defeat him? Even if he had the great dragon sword, his cultivation was still too weak, and the great dragon sword should have been destroyed in the battle back then. He doesn't have the power of his peak anymore. Kill him. Hearing this, those who were humorous all looked up at the 9 nether soul. Even the 9 nether soul was moved. Lin Xian laughed when he heard that. No more power from back then? Are you sure? Lin Xian waved his hand and released the great dragon sword soul. The terrifying dragon-shaped sword shadow circled around. A shocking sword energy swept across. The 9 nether soul trembled in fear. It was this aura. Although it was the first time he saw the great dragon sword soul, this terrifying aura made him tremble in fear. He said, Young master, please spare my life. I won't dare to attack you again. Really? Then what are you going to do if he provokes me? Lin Xian looked at the 9 nether soul and said, Young master, you must kill him. If he dares to challenge the young master, he will definitely die. I will personally kill him. With that, the 9 nether soul turned around and looked at Summer. Today, I will clean up the house. With that, the 9 nether soul slapped out. Ancestor, you can't do this to me. Damn it. Black Gourd, search him. Summer roared crazily. He activated the black gourd in his hand, trying to capture the 9 nether soul. The 9 nether soul sneered. I live in the Black Gourd all year round, but I'm not someone an ant like you can capture." As soon as he finished speaking, his palm enveloped Summer and turned her into ashes. The Nine Nether Soul waved his hand and grabbed the Black Gourd. Then he said, "Young master, I have killed the person who offended you. Are you satisfied?" The surrounding people were completely dumbfounded when they saw this scene. The Nine Nether Soul killed a member of the Xia family. Was it all because of Lin Xian's words? It was unbelievable. Lin Xian said, "I don't care about an ant, but now I have one more thing for you to do. If you do this, I can spare your life." After hearing that, the Nine Nether Soul said, "What is it? Just tell me." Blade Mountain Flame Sea Guild would not hesitate. Lin Xian said, "It's simple. Take me back to the Xia family." Young master wants to go to the Xia family? The Nine Serenity's soul was stunned. Was the other party walking right into a trap? However, his heart skipped a beat when he saw Xia Jiuyo. Perhaps there were other reasons. "What? You don't want to?" Lin Xian waved the dragon-shaped sword in his hand. An earth-shattering power appeared. The Nine Nether Soul hurriedly shook his head. "No, I'll bring the young master back to my family." On the 16th floor of Hell, the people of the Xia family were also stunned. Xia Xia's soul jade pendant had shattered. Summer is dead. How is this possible? Summer had followed the Nine Nether Soul. The Nine Nether Soul was a supreme being, and it could even fight against a great emperor. How could he let Summer fall? Damn it, what the hell happened? Everyone from the Xia clan was dumbfounded. Where was the Nine Nether spirit now? What was going on? Who was the enemy? Countless voices of discussion could be heard. However, at this moment, the void above the Xia clan shattered, and countless cracks appeared. Soon after, a huge vortex was formed, and a terrifying aura rushed out from the vortex. The people of the Xia clan raised their heads in horror. Someone is attacking? Who dares to behave atrociously in the Xia clan? Are you courting death? Many experts leaped into the sky. In the next moment, they fell back. They were stunned. They realized that the Nine Nether Soul had returned. Many of the Xia clan heaved a sigh of relief. Great, the Nine Nether Soul was safe and sound. This made them feel relieved. However, they soon cried out in alarm. No, there were still people on the Nine Nether Soul. They realized that there were two figures standing on the Nine Nether Soul. Was the Nine Nether Soul being used as a mount? Heavens, who are these two people? They are too arrogant. Are they stepping on the Xia clan's head? Countless experts looked carefully and realized that one of the two people was a young man. He had a handsome face, but he looked unfamiliar. The other was an old man with white hair and an air of immortality. Although they did not recognize him, they could sense the bloodline of the Nine Nether Soul on him. He was from the Xia clan. Furthermore, to be able to come here, could it be Xia Jiuyo? It was indeed him. Immediately, someone snorted. "Xia Jiuyo, did you come back to apologize to the clan? Come over and kneel on the ground to await the punishment of the clan." A cold voice sounded. They did not seem to put Xia Jiuyo in their eyes. In the sky, Xia Jiuyo's expression was cold. He was searching for the whereabouts of Xia Xingqian. Lin Xian said to teach them a lesson. "Yes, I know." The Nine Nether Soul under his feet quickly attacked. A huge palm came crashing down from the sky. The arrogant experts of the Xia clan were all sent flying. Some were torn into pieces, and some were vomiting blood. As for the palaces of the villa below, they were all collapsing. No, many people turned into a bloody mist in this attack. More miserable cries could be heard. Why did this happen? Isn't the Nine Nether Soul our power? Why did he attack the clan? Damn it, who can tell me what happened? Why did he attack us? Could it be that the Nine Nether Soul is being controlled by someone? Countless angry roars could be heard. The elders of the Xia clan were also going crazy. The Nine Nether Soul was at the supremacy level. Who could control such an existence? Quickly, invite the clan leader over. Soon, a middle-aged man walked over. He was the current clan leader of the Xia clan. After he arrived, he took out a token that had the radiance of the Nine Nether Soul. He said, "Nine Nether Soul, are you betraying the clan? Do you want to be chased by the clan forever like Xia Jiuyo?" A cold voice sounded. At the same time, he waved his hand and a world cage appeared. Inside the cage was a girl. Her eyes were as bright as the stars, and she was very beautiful. She was Xia Juyo's granddaughter, Xia Xingqian. Xia Juyo, do you think you can fight against the clan just by teaming up with the Nine Nether Soul? You're too stupid. Kneel down now, or I'll destroy your granddaughter's soul. Xingqian. Xia Juyo's expression changed. Xia Xingqian also shouted, Grandpa, be careful. Leave quickly, the Xia clan is very powerful. After being suppressed for a few days, Xia Xingqian understood the strength of the Xia clan. They were unfathomable. No matter how strong her grandpa was, he wouldn't be able to resist them. The Nine Nether Souls said, Clan leader, surrender. You're no match for Lin Gongzi. Don't go against Lin Gongzi, or the Xia clan will be destroyed. When they heard this, the Xia clan went crazy. Someone could destroy their clan? What a joke. Nine Nether Soul, is your soul being controlled? What Lin Gongzi? Who does he think he is? The clan leader also said coldly, I'll give you one last chance. As he said that, he grabbed Xia Xingqian with one hand. If he used any strength, Xia Xingqian's soul would be destroyed. Chapter 60:14. Xia Xingqian felt the threat of death. Xia Juyo's face also changed. Lin Xian walked out and said, Elder Xia, don't worry. I'll kill him. With a wave of his hand, the great dragon sword spirit appeared and slashed forward. With one slash, the sky fell and the earth cracked. The people of the Xia family were stunned. What kind of sword was this? Countless people couldn't help but feel their souls tremble and want to kneel on the ground. What was this? The face of the Xia family's leader changed. At first, he looked disdainful. How could a strange young man be compared to him? However, when he felt the sword, he was completely stunned. This person was too strong. He roared to the sky. Juyo hell. 9 chains appeared on his arm. They were extremely black and emitted a shocking aura. The 9 chains were able to bind everything. He wanted to bind the sword chi. However, he underestimated Lin Xian. The attack of the great dragon sword was not something he could withstand. After one slash, he was cut in half. I can't accept this. The leader of the Xia family only had time to let out a scream before his soul was destroyed. He was dead. The elders of the Xia clan were dumbfounded. Their clan leader had died just like that? That's impossible. Who is this brat? With a wave of his sleeve, Lin Xian tore the cage apart and brought Xia Xingqian to his side. He said, Don't worry. From now on, no one can save you. You are Lin Xian. Xia Xingqian was shocked. She didn't expect Lin Xian to be so powerful now. Grandpa, I'm fine. Xia Xingqian looked at Xia Juyo and said. Xia Juyo's eyes turned red. Lin Gongzi, thank you so much. If it wasn't for Lin Xian, it would be difficult for him to save Xia Xingqian. Elder Xia, you don't have to be so polite with me. Xingqian is also my sister. By the way, how do you plan to deal with the Xia family? Lin Xian looked down. The light of reincarnation appeared in his eyes. The members of the Xia family were enveloped by this gaze. Instantly, their bodies trembled. Was the other party's eyes also so terrifying? Lin Xian descended with Xia Juyo and Xia Xingqian. After that, Lin Xian said, Xia family, tell me, how do you plan to appease my anger? Who are you? The great elder walked out with a malevolent expression on his face. Their clan leader had died in the hands of this man. However, they actually didn't dare to make a move now. That was because the sword strike from before had truly stunned all of them. Our Xia clan has an extraordinary background. You can't afford to offend us. The third elder walked out and shouted coldly. In the end, Lin Xian glared at him. 6 paths of reincarnation. The third elder's soul turned into ashes. He was dead. Everyone was horrified. Killing an elder with a single glance. What kind of power was this? The 9 Nether Soul also said, Idiot. Hurry up and apologize to Lin Gongzi. If not, your family will really be destroyed. Shut your mouth. The great elder roared crazily. You have no right to lecture us. You betrayed the family. Do you think you're the only 9 Nether Soul in the Xia family? Just you wait. You will regret this. Please, old ancestor. The great elder knelt down in the distance. The other members of the Xia family also knelt down one after another. Ancestor, please help. Their voices were loud and solemn, spreading far and wide. In the next moment, there was the sound of chains being unlocked. Ghostly wails and howls resounded between heaven and earth as if the gates of hell had been opened. A gust of chilly wind swept across the entire world. The bodies of the people below trembled. Xiaojuyo's expression was also solemn. Not good. Young master, be careful. The Xia family's background is indeed extraordinary. He also came from this family, so he naturally knew how terrifying the Xia family was. Who is it? It's calling me. A low voice sounded. Suddenly, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Many phantoms of white bones appeared in the surroundings. The great elder fell to the ground and said, "Ancestor, please calm down. The Xia family is in a life and death crisis. We have no choice but to summon you. Our clan leader has fallen. The enemy is very strong. Please help us." "Who is it? How dare you come to the Xia family and behave so atrociously?" In the next moment, the sound of footsteps was heard. Heaven and earth shattered. It was as if a ghost god walked out from inside. With his appearance, a terrifying aura swept across every corner of the sky. The members of the Xia family felt the suppression of their bloodline. Xiaojuyo's expression changed drastically. This person is very terrifying. It's that person from back then. His eyes instantly turned red. Back then, he wanted to prove his Tao and become a great emperor. He had once returned to the Xia family and asked for help. However, the Shi family refused. In the end, they fell out. Someone had once chased after him and injured him. He even almost died back then. Back then, there was an old man who struck out with a palm in the air and seriously injured him. Now, that person has come out again? Great elder. It's him. It's this kid. He killed the clan leader. And Xiaojuyo, do you remember? The traitor of the family. He's back. Ancestor, please help us suppress him. Xiaojuyo, I remember him. He has the Jiryo body. His destiny is to sacrifice for the family. However, he dared to escape and betray the family. I won't let him go. He was lucky last time. This time, it's time for him to die. The cold voice sounded again. A tall figure walked out. Greetings, ancestor. The great elder and the others kowtowed. Then, they stared at Lin Xian and said, "Kid, you're dead. No matter how strong you are, you'll definitely die. Even a great emperor can't do it." They seemed to be able to see the scene of Lin Xian's death. They sneered at Xiaojuyo. "Traitor, you'll regret it." A silhouette appeared in front of them. This silhouette looked very young, but it was actually an extremely terrifying old monster. His long black hair hung to the ground. There were black tattoos on his body. His eyes were like black whirlpools. He looked as if he had walked out of the 9th level of hell. He was extremely powerful. In the next moment, he stared at Lin Xian and Xiaojuyo. He shouted coldly, "Ants, die." His palm slammed forward. The void shattered like glass. It couldn't withstand it at all. So strong. This was a great emperor's family. It was indeed extraordinary. There was a great emperor sleeping in the 17th level of hell. Facing such a terrifying punch, Lin Xian roared, "Nine Yang divine body." The golden palm was brighter than the sun. It pushed forward. The two collided, and an earth-shattering sound erupted. The surrounding people were all sent flying, vomiting blood. The great elder and the others were shocked. How could it be? He actually blocked the ancestor's attack. I don't believe it. Could he be a martial monarch too? What ancestor? You're just Oso. Lin Xian retracted his palm and said coldly. In front, the black-haired ancestor was dumbfounded. You actually have the combat strength of a great emperor. No wonder you're so arrogant. However, the Xia family isn't something you can challenge. Today, I'll show you the terror of the Xia family. Old man, come out too. The black-haired ancestor said to the distance. In the next instant, a sinister chuckle sounded. Following that, a terrifying burst of energy burst forth once more. Another martial monarch had awakened. It was the previous clan leader. Old clan leader, it's great that you're here. Even the old patriarch had woken up. That brat was definitely dead. So what if he's a great emperor? He's definitely no match for the Xia family. Chapter 60:15. Big brother Lin is in danger. Xia Xingqian was extremely nervous. Xia Jiuyo also took a deep breath. It looked like he was about to make a move. He said, Lin Gongzi, I'll join forces with you. Xia Jiuyo had the 9 netherworld body and was also a 10 crown king. He also had the battle strength of a great emperor. With a loud boom, the world was torn apart, and an old man walked out from it. The elder was as withered as a zombie, but the power in his body was extremely terrifying. After he came out, he stared at 9 netherworld soul. He said, What are you waiting for? 9 netherworld soul was also shocked. He didn't expect that 2 great emperors would awaken this time. However, he still didn't go over because he knew that Lin Xian was even more terrifying. Lin Xian was the successor of the Great Dragon Sword. The Great Dragon Sword was something that the Xia family was very afraid of. He said, Don't go against him. His identity is not ordinary. However, the previous patriarch sneered, What identity? Do you think you can scare me? The black-haired patriarch also said, You're too stupid. No wonder you can't become a great emperor. Cowards don't have the right to be righteous. Come, let's attack together and suppress the 2 of them as quickly as possible. The 2 great emperors walked towards Lin Xian. Xia Jiuyo took a deep breath and was about to attack with a roar. However, at this moment, a dragon's roar sounded from within his body. Then, thousands of dragon sword chi rushed out of his body. At this moment, he seemed to have turned into a dragon god. The sword chi rushed into the sky. What was this? The 2 patriarchs stopped. They felt a sense of horror. In the next moment, they looked towards Lin Xian. In an instant, they saw that there seemed to be a sword beside Lin Xian. It was a long sword with a dragon's head. The aura on it was too sharp. It seemed to be able to split their bodies. The sword light flashed and formed countless dragons, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. In the next moment, the 2 of them cried out, What is this sword chi? Damn it! Why is it so similar to the sword light from 1,000,000 years ago? No way. Is that the Great Dragon Sword? No. How could the Great Dragon Sword appear in the Xia family? At this moment, both patriarchs had gone mad. They were all great emperors, so they naturally knew what had happened 1,000,000 years ago. Back then, the most talented great emperor of their family had appeared out of nowhere and headed to the universe. In the end, he was killed by a single sword strike. His heart and soul were destroyed, and he didn't even have the chance to escape. That sword was none other than the legendary Great Dragon Sword. Now that the Great Dragon Sword had appeared again, how could they not be shocked? He was actually the owner of the Great Dragon Sword? The 2 great Emperor Realm old ancestors retreated in fear. This scene made the people of the Xia family go crazy. Patriarch, what's going on? Make your move. That's right. Ancestor, the 2 of them are no match for you. Ancestor, please make a move. However, no matter how the first elder and the others shouted, the 2 old ancestors did not dare to step forward. Instead, he looked as if he had seen a ghost. As expected, seeing this scene, the 9 netherworld soul sighed. It seemed that the other party had also recognized the Great Dragon Sword. Lin Xian said, Why aren't you fighting? In fact, I'm looking forward to fighting with you. The face of the previous generation's patriarch was ugly. He gritted his teeth and said, What was that sword phantom just now? Was it the Great Dragon Sword? Yes, it's the Great Dragon Sword you imagined. How about it? Do you want to feel its sharpness? Lin Xian asked with a smile. It really was. The previous generation's patriarch's hair stood on end. The black-haired patriarch's face also changed drastically. You are the successor of the Great Dragon Sword. How did the Xia family offend you? He was going crazy. These ignorant clansmen dared to offend the successor of the Great Dragon Sword. Are they trying to kill us? Thinking of this, he grabbed the first elder and slapped him a few times, turning the first elder's head into a pig's head. Then he said, Tell me, what's going on? Who asked you to offend him? You want to kill me? The first elder was stunned. He was beaten until he screamed, Patriarch, please spare me. Is he very powerful? He came to us first. How dare you still be stubborn? Apologize to me. The great elder was beaten to the point of hovering between life and death. The other elders were also frightened. Is this young man really so scary? Young master, please forgive us. Is there any misunderstanding between you and our family? I think we can solve it. The previous generation's patriarch also cupped his fists and said, they really didn't want to face the great dragon sword. Misunderstanding? You caught Xiaxingchen before. Give me an explanation. After hearing this, the two patriarchs' faces darkened. He was standing up for Xia Juyo. He said, Xia Juyo is a member of our family. Our family needs him now. Young master, I hope you can understand. Lin Xian said, understand? My relationship with Elder Xia is extraordinary. Elder Xia is like an elder to me. He has helped me countless times. Now, it's time for me to repay his kindness. Elder Xia wants to become a great emperor. Since he is also a member of the Xia family, you should express your gratitude. Help Elder Xia become a great emperor, and I can spare your lives. What? The two patriarchs were stunned. Lin Xian frowned. What? You don't want to? Don't we need Elder Xia to open the Juyo land? As soon as he said this, the two patriarchs' faces changed drastically. Does he even know such a secret? The previous generation's patriarch sighed. Young master, you have been in the universe. You should be able to feel it. The suppression of the heavenly Tao and the shackles of the great Tao have fallen. At this time, no one can become a great emperor. If you can't, I will kill you. Lin Xian's voice was cold. The previous generation's patriarch was about to vomit blood. The black-haired patriarch next to him also said, we are not the only ones who want to open the Juyo land. Let me tell you the truth. The people of the otherworld heavenly Tao have also come. Besides, we have already agreed to cooperate with them. Xia Juyo can become a great emperor, but he must join the otherworld heavenly Tao. Young master, are you willing? Hearing this, Xia Juyo snorted coldly. I won't agree. Lin Xian didn't say anything, but he slashed out with his sword. The biting cold sword chi slashed at the black-haired patriarch and sent him flying. The black-haired patriarch's body was split open. He spat out a mouthful of blood. How dare you sneak attack me? He roared crazily. Lin Xian snorted coldly. This is my answer. The otherworld heavenly Tao and I are irreconcilable. If you join the otherworld heavenly Tao, you will be my enemy. I will not show any mercy to my enemies. You are courting death. Do you really think we are afraid of you? The black-haired patriarch roared. The aura of the Juyo gathered and healed his injuries. However, his injuries were recovering very slowly. He said to the previous generation's patriarch, let's attack together. He is too young and may not be able to exert the true power of the great dragon sword. The previous generation's patriarch nodded, and the two of them attacked like lightning. Lin Xian snorted coldly. You are courting death. He opened the sword world and gave the power inside to the great dragon sword soul. The great dragon sword made a super powerful attack. Boom! The black-haired patriarch was sent flying again. His body was split in half. He was extremely miserable and seriously injured. The previous generation's patriarch also gasped. The other party is too strong. This sword strike seems to be the peak sword strike. The Xia family can exist, but you are no longer the master. After killing you, Elder Xia can become the new master. Lin Xian walked over with the dragon sword in his hand. His expression was extremely cold. At this moment, he seemed to have turned into a peerless sword god. Chapter 60:16. The horror of the great dragon sword was beyond the imagination of the Xia family. For a moment, they were in despair. The two ancestors also roared, damn it! How dare you look down on us? Attack! The two of them joined forces and rushed over quickly. At the same time, the previous clan leader roared and activated the clan's formation. Everyone, attack! A great battle broke out in an instant. Lin Xian and the two great emperors fought together. Xia Juyo also attacked the elders in the distance. Even the souls of the 9 serenities fought against the Xia family's formation. Rumbling sounds could be heard as a world-shaking battle swept out in all directions. One had to admit that the Xia family was very terrifying. They occupied the entire 16th level of hell. One could imagine how powerful they were. Therefore, This battle was very difficult. While they were fighting, they didn't know that a battle was also happening in the Nine Serenities. The Nine Serenities was a very mysterious place in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, there were originally some people living in the 9 Serenities. For example, the Xia family was in the 9 Serenities. The one on the 16th level of Hell was just a branch of the Xia family. The Xia family in the 9 Serenities was the real main family. At this moment, in a dark ancient city in the 9 Serenities, there was a palace. Inside the palace sat 9 people. These 9 people were all wearing black robes and had ice-cold expressions on their faces. Their auras were very terrifying. They were much stronger than the people in Hell. The 9 of them sat together. One of them said, "That woman, haven't you found her yet? Where did she go? Damn it! How dare she go against the Xia family? She will definitely die. How did she get in? The 9 Serenities hasn't been opened yet. How did she get in? The 9 Serenities sword must not fall into the hands of others. It must be controlled by the Xia family. Go and find her again. Send more people. Anyway, she can forget about getting out of the 9 Serenities. This time, I must catch her and ask her how she got in." In the 9 Serenities, the members of the Xia family were stunned because they had discovered an outsider. This outsider was the most recent one to come in, but it shouldn't be. If they wanted to open the 9th Serenity, they needed to inform the Xia clan's branch outside. Only with the cooperation of the 9 underworld's body could it be opened. Now, they hadn't even made a move yet, but someone had already entered. This was truly inconceivable. Wong. Suddenly, the black-robed leader's expression changed. He waved his hand, and a black bell appeared in his hand. At this moment, a violent sound rang out. The others also had grave expressions on their faces. Someone said, "The bell keeps ringing. It looks like the 9 Nether Sword has been born." Moreover, it was very likely that the 9 Nether Sword would recognize him as its master. Damn it, was it that woman? Damn it, move out quickly. The 9 of them stopped discussing and left the hall one after another. They split up and flew in 9 different directions. At the same time, they mobilized a group of experts to follow them. A few days later, a great battle broke out in a valley in the 9th Serenity. A group of black-clothed men surrounded a white-clothed woman. This woman had an extremely beautiful appearance. Her clothes were whiter than snow, and the aura coming from her body was also incomparably cold. With a wave of her hand, countless ice was brought up, and it was enough to freeze the world. The surrounding black-clothed men's bodies were constantly bursting with frost. Some of them turned into ice sculptures, while others were pierced by ice cones. The speed of the others also slowed down. However, these black-clothed men were also extraordinary. The power on their bodies seemed to come from the 9th Serenity Hell. Every move was extremely cold. Found him. In the sky, a figure descended. Then, another figure descended. Great, 2 great emperor-level figures. The other black-clothed men sneered, "You're dead this time." The woman in snow-white clothes had a cold expression. She exerted the law of ice on her body to the extreme. Freeze. With a delicate shout, the entire sky was frozen. The 2 people from the 9 underworlds were great emperor level. One of them waved his fist, and it turned into 9 black holes. It seemed to be connected to the endless hell. From inside, cold disgust flew out. It swept across the ice that filled the sky. When the ice was touched, it shook violently. Then, the other person formed a seal with his palm and threw out a black coat, which pierced through the ice. Great! The other black-clothed men who were still alive were overjoyed when they saw this scene. The expression of the woman in snow-white clothes changed. In the next moment, she formed a seal with her palm, and a layer of ice surrounded her body. At the same time, the ice sword of the armed police fell from the sky, piercing through heaven and earth, and attacked the 2 great emperors. A great battle broke out in an instant. A pitch-black longsword appeared in the woman's hand. With a slash of the sword, it seemed to split the sky. With a clang, one of the great emperors was knocked back. Damn it, that's the 9 underworld sword. She actually caught the 9 underworld sword. The eyes of the Xia family members turned red as they stared at the pitch-black longsword. The The woman in snow-white clothes held the black long sword in her hand, and the sword light soared into the sky. A terrifying aura swept across the world, and the surrounding mountains and earth trembled violently. The black-clothed men couldn't help but want to kneel down. The 9 Underworld Sword. It was an extremely terrifying immortal sword in their 9 Underworlds realm. For countless years, the Xia family had been trying to get it, but they had never succeeded. They didn't expect that this woman would get it. The 9 Underworld Sword has always been mysterious. Even the Xia family couldn't find it. Now that we have found it, it can be said that the heavens are on our side. So what if she got it? Snatch it and kill her. The two of them attacked wildly. The 2 great monarchs also took out their extreme weapons and attacked wildly. There were also other black-clothed men who gathered in the distance, forming a formation. Mystic Ice Sword Technique. The black longsword was covered with ice. This was an extremely terrifying mystic ice. Once frozen, one would die instantly. This sword slashed at the Great Emperor. Even the Great Emperor didn't dare to be careless. He waved the long saber in his hand with all his strength to block. However, at this moment, another Great Emperor rushed over. He attacked from behind with a mirror in his hand. Go to hell. There was a ferocious ghost head on the mirror, and it attacked the woman in white from behind. That's great. When the others saw this scene, they all laughed. The woman was dead for sure. The Great Emperor in front of her kept swinging his long saber, not giving the woman a chance to escape. At this critical moment, the woman in white slapped her left hand behind her. In the center of her palm, an endless amount of ice shone brightly. It was white ice, and it contained a mysterious power. Heart-devouring palm. This palm slapped at the Great Emperor behind her. With a clang, the woman in white was forced back. The Great Emperor's body also shook. He said, "It's useless. No matter how strong you are, you can't fight against 2 great emperors." Just as he finished speaking, his expression changed. That was because he felt that his internal organs were rotting in an instant. He suffered internal injuries and spat out a mouthful of blood. His body shook. "You can hurt me. There's a problem with your bloodline. Could it be that your body is?" He was too shocked. The woman in white also spat out a mouthful of blood. But soon, she rushed over. Her left hand slapped out again. This time, it wasn't a palm, but a claw. The world seemed to darken. There was a terrifying black claw. It tore open the sky. It fell mercilessly. Chapter 60:17. The black claw was extremely terrifying, and it hit the Great Emperor behind it. Blood splattered everywhere. 5 cracks appeared on his body, and even his bones were broken. He made a pitiful sound. When the other Great Emperor saw this, he didn't act rashly. Instead, he was shocked. How is this possible? You're so young, but you're able to fight against 2 great emperors. You even have the upper hand. Who exactly are you? The injured Great Emperor started to shiver, and his whole body turned blue. Evidently, he had been enveloped by ice. This caused him to be even more astonished. He was from the Xia family, and he lived in the 9 underworlds all year round. There was no cold aura that could scare him. However, his opponent's ice made him feel terrified and desperate. Under such circumstances, only the 9 underworlds body of the same level could be given to him. However, only the Xia family had the 9 underworlds body. His opponent definitely didn't have it. Wait, the War Saber Great Emperor's expression changed. No, other than the 9 underworlds body of the Xia family, there is another body. In the outside world, there was another type of physique that was said to be extremely terrifying. The 9 Divine Body. You have the 9 Divine Body. Moreover, you have the 9 Divine Body of the Great Emperor level. The 2 great emperors of the Xia family were stunned. You're from the outside world. How did you come in? They roared crazily. This woman in snow-white clothes was none other than Xueqi. They didn't know what she had experienced, but she had come to the 9 underworlds. Moreover, her cultivation had reached the Great Emperor level. Xueqi snorted coldly. Your Xia family is really annoying. You've been chasing me for so long. Do you really think that I won't fight back? Today, it's time to teach you a lesson. Xueqi activated the 9 Divine Body to the extreme. A mysterious fire flickered on her body. This was her nine-in divine fire. At this moment, the nine-in divine body resonated with the nine underworlds. This caused the nine underworld sword to shake violently. Not good. She can actually control the nine underworld sword. The two great emperors of the Xia family were shocked. This wasn't good news for them. The nine underworld sword was a very mysterious sword in the nine underworlds. The Xia family had wanted it before, but they couldn't get it. In fact, he couldn't even find it if he wanted to. Legend had it that the nine nether sword possessed an extremely terrifying power. It was much stronger than ordinary extreme Dao weapons. There was also a legend that the nine nether sword had other uses besides being powerful. However, they did not know whether those legends were true or not. However, they knew that they were in a lot of trouble right now. The nine nether sword emitted a terrifying light. Then, it slashed down. Retreat quickly. The two martial monarchs did not dare to take the attack head-on. The nine underworlds' energy in their bodies continued to revolve as they waited for an opportunity to strike. However, after fighting for half a day, they discovered that they were actually unable to do anything to their opponents. This woman had already become a martial monarch, and her battle prowess was no weaker than theirs. On top of that, he had the nine-in divine body and the nine nether sword. They seemed to be unable to do anything. Hurry up and retreat. Gather the Xia clan and send someone even stronger to kill her. The two martial monarchs flew into the distance. You want to leave? Xueqi snorted coldly and quickly chased after him. The pursuit began in an instant. This time, the chase lasted for 5 days. The two great emperors had gone mad. Get lost. They were prepared to risk their lives and attack to stop their opponents. Then, they would look for an opportunity to escape using a secret technique. Xueqi's face turned cold when she sensed this aura. She said, "Nine nether sword. Let me see your true strength." She gave all the divine fire in her body to the black long sword. The nine nether sword kept swaying. Then, it became bigger. It transformed into a heaven-reaching divine sword that pierced forward. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out as a huge black hole was blasted out. There was an endless space inside, and storms were gathering. The two martial monarchs were stunned. What's going on? Has the nine underworlds been pierced through? On the 16th level of hell, the battle in the Xia clan was also very terrifying. However, the Xia clan was in a miserable state. Lin Xian's strength was beyond their imagination. He fought against two martial monarchs by himself. He actually had the upper hand. After fighting for a few days, they discovered that he had too many treasures on him. A golden bracelet sent a martial monarch flying. Then, he took out a long sword. The killing intent on it was too terrifying. Together with the great dragon sword soul, its power was extremely strong. Not long after, the black-haired martial monarch was split open again. The previous patriarch's arm was also grabbed by Lin Xian. Then, he was torn into pieces. Damn it! His opponent was only the Tin Crown King. Was he already so terrifying? If he wanted to become a martial monarch, how terrifying would he be? Could he kill them in an instant? The two martial monarchs went crazy. They had the absolute suppression of their realms. They had the true immortal qi. However, they couldn't defeat their opponent. They hadn't felt this sullen for tens of thousands of years. Everything was over. Lin Xian merged the great dragon sword and the immortal slaying sword. Then, he opened the sword world. The aura on his body kept exploding. He wanted to kill a martial monarch. His gaze wandered between the previous patriarch and the black-haired martial monarch. The two martial monarchs were horrified. Damn it! They retreated frantically. However, where could they run to? Go to the 17th level of hell. There might be people from the otherworld Heavenly King and the Supreme Palace. Let them save us. The two martial monarchs of the Xia family wanted to escape. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He raised his sword high and was about to swing it down. However, at this moment, there was a boom. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The countless palaces and pavilions of the Xia family were destroyed. Those who were weaker all turned into a bloody mist in an instant. Even the top elders coughed up mouthfuls of blood. They were all sprawled on the ground. Damn it! What happened? The two martial monarchs were also stunned. They looked up at the sky. The sky of the 16th level of hell seemed to have been pierced through. Endless black holes filled the space. Cracks were everywhere. Storms swept through the space. It was a scene of destruction. Even Lin Xian was stunned. His sword stopped. He didn't slash out. However, there was a light that pierced through everything. Was someone coming? Was it a friend or a foe? Could it be the otherworld heavenly king and the supreme palace? What a terrifying power. I can feel the aura of a martial monarch. It's the otherworld heavenly king. Dao friend, save us quickly. The black-haired ancestor kept roaring. Two figures fell out of the huge black hole in the sky. The blood on their bodies fell. It pierced through the sky and earth. This was the blood of a martial monarch. It was really the blood of a martial monarch. It seemed that they were injured, because the blood of a martial monarch kept falling. The Xia family was in ruins. If not for their extreme weapons protecting them, they would have died. Other than the two martial monarchs, the rest of the Xia family would have fallen. Even so, their situation wasn't good. This unknown made even Xia Juyo frown. The Nine Nether Soul was even more terrified. He said, I can feel an even more terrifying bloodline in the blood of a martial monarch. They were also from the Xia family. That was right. The black-haired ancestor and the previous clan leader trembled. Although this bloodline belonged to a martial monarch, it was stronger than them. They were already the strongest people in the 16th level of hell. Only the Nine Netherland had people stronger than them. Could it be that they came from the Nine Netherland? Chapter 60:18. With a loud boom, the ground of the Xia family cracked open, forming a terrifying fissure. Two figures fell on the ground and let out miserable and terrified cries. Lin Xian frowned and stared at them. The aura of these two people was very similar to the aura of the Xia family. Xia Jiuyo and the Nine Nether Souls were stunned. The former patriarch exclaimed, Who are you? He couldn't believe that these people were really from the Nine Netherlands. Why were they so miserable? The two great emperors also roared, Damn it! Where did that woman beat us? There's no aura of the Nine Netherlands here. Where's this place? Have we left? They gritted their teeth and stared at the black hole above them. At the same time, a figure appeared in the black hole above them. It was a white-clothed woman. She had an exceptionally beautiful appearance and an unsurpassed magnificence. There was actually someone in the black hole above them. The former patriarch and the others were stunned. The members of the Xia family looked up at the sky. Is this the woman who injured the two great emperors? Her aura is so terrifying. The Nine Nether Souls were terrified. Even Xia Jiuyo's expression was grave. However, when Lin Xian looked over, he was dumbfounded. I know this woman. Isn't she Xueqi? She's my woman. Why is she here? Cheer, is that you? Lin Xian shouted. In the black hole in the sky, the beautiful woman in white looked cold. However, when she heard the voice, she turned her head and looked over. When she saw Lin Xian, a beautiful smile appeared on her face. It was as if a 10,000-year-old iceberg had melted. Husband, you're here too. Xueqi was very surprised. What? These two are husband and wife. The members of the Xia family were stunned when they heard this. This couple is too fierce. At this moment, the members of the Xia family felt like they were in a dream. The two injured great emperors stared at Lin Xian. Catch him. They thought that if they caught Lin Xian, they would be able to negotiate with Xueqi. The two of them rushed toward Lin Xian quickly. Get out of here. Lin Xian sent the two flying with a punch and a sword. The two emperors were already severely injured to begin with. At this moment, they were sent flying. Their bodies were pierced through, and they coughed out blood continuously. Damn it! How is this possible? This person was actually so strong. That's impossible. I can sense that he's clearly not a great emperor. Both great emperors are mad. Now, they also discovered that they had been beaten out of the 9 serenities and arrived outside. Were the people outside that terrifying? That was impossible. Didn't they say that the people outside were all trash and ants? This was different from what they knew. Husband, be careful. The two of them are from the 9 serenities. After hearing this, Lin Xian was also stunned. The ninth serenity? That's impossible. The ninth underworld hasn't been opened yet. How did they get out? Cheer. Could it be that you're also in the ninth underworld? Shueqi nodded, but she didn't walk out of the black hole. She said, Husband, I'm indeed in the nine serenities now. I can't go back yet. I have to wait for a while. Why don't you come in? What? Go in? Lin Xian was dumbfounded. You can go in like this? Under normal circumstances, you can't. However, I have the nine serenities sword now. You can come in before this black hole disappears. After hearing this, Lin Xian was surprised and overjoyed. Even Xia Jiuyo was dumbfounded. However, the people of the Xia family were shocked, especially the black-haired patriarch and the former patriarch. Both of them were great emperors, so they naturally knew some legends about the nine serenities. One of the legends was about the nine nether sword. It was a mysterious sword that possessed a mysterious power. The Xia family had been searching for it, but they didn't find it at all. They didn't expect that this mysterious woman would get it. Lin Xian said to Xia Jiuyo, Let's go to the nine serenities. Xia Jiuyo also nodded. The nine serenities was a place he yearned for. He couldn't become a great emperor in the universe anymore. However, things were different in the nine netherlands. It was one of the nine heavens and 10 lands. The shackles of the heavenly Tao on the other side had little influence on him. He could become a great emperor in the nine serenities. Therefore, they soared into the sky. Lin Xian, Xia Jiuyo, and Xia Xingqian quickly rushed to the nine heavens with Xia Jiuyo. Quick, stop them. The two great emperors who fell out roared. The former patriarch and the black-haired patriarch also soared into the sky. They blocked Lin Xian and rushed to the black hole. They also wanted to go in. After all, no matter how strong they were here, they were just a branch. They wanted to enter the main house and get stronger. Only in the nine serenities could great emperors continue to advance. Get lost. Lin Xian and Xia Jiuyo blocked the other party. At the same time, Shueqi also attacked from the black hole. A black divine claw fell from the sky and sent a great emperor flying. Lin Xian was surprised. Cheer. You're already a great emperor? He could feel the real divine fire beating. Shueqi said, Yes, husband. I'm very powerful now. He didn't expect Shueqi to have such a fortuitous encounter and become a great emperor. Young master, take me with you. Below, the nine underworld soul also rushed over. He was also eager to enter the nine underworlds. Lin Xian thought for a moment and said, All right. After all, he had enough power to control the other party. Therefore, he grabbed the other party and brought him into the black hole. The other four great emperors rushed over, but they were blocked by Lin Xian and Shueqi. Shueqi said, The black hole will disappear soon, and they won't be able to enter. Damn it. The four great emperors' eyes turned red. The two great emperors were originally from the nine serenities. If they couldn't go back in this lifetime, then they would be in big trouble. The black-haired patriarch and the former patriarch went crazy. They wanted to enter the nine serenities. This battle was extremely terrifying. However, Lin Xian and Shueqi were too strong. In the end, Lin Xian and Shueqi fused the 9 Yang 9 Yang 9 Lin Xian's attack. It seemed to have pierced through the sky and sent the four great emperors flying. They were all seriously injured. Damn it. That kid has the 9 Yang body. That woman has the 9 divine body. The 9 Yang bodies appeared at the same time. Moreover, they were husband and wife. The four great emperors went crazy. It was said that the 9 Yang bodies were extremely terrifying. Once they joined forces, they could sweep the world. Although they had more people, they couldn't defeat them. In the end, they could only watch as the black hole in the sky disappeared. No. The two great emperors of the nine serenities screamed crazily. Could they not go back? The people of the Xia family were in despair. Whoosh! On the other side, the black hole disappeared. Lin Xian and the others arrived at the mountain range. They looked around curiously. This was the nine serenities. Xia Xingqian blinked her big cute eyes. Xia Jiuyo was also shocked. He said, I can feel my blood boiling. Lin Xian nodded. Indeed. The nine serenities was one of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, the high heaven land and the ancient land in his body. Their auras were different. However, they were both ancient and mysterious. Lin Xian smiled. He could obtain power and continue to improve in this place. On top of that, Xiaojio could achieve the martial monarch realm here. Let's leave this place first. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the others left. The 9 Serenities. There was an ancient black city. It was the ancestral home of the Xia family. At this moment, there was an extremely terrifying great emperor elder. He frowned. Why did I sense it? The auras of the 2 great emperors disappeared. Chapter 60-19. The Xia family of 9 underworlds was very confused. How could 2 great emperors disappear into thin air? What a strange thing. They sent people to investigate. What was going on? The 9 underworlds was very mysterious. It had been in a sealed state for nearly 1,000,000 years. People from the outside couldn't enter at all, so very little news about it spread. This made it even more mysterious. There were all kinds of legends about the 9 underworlds. But at this moment, a piece of news came from hell. Someone came out of the 9 underworlds. This news spread throughout the 18th level of hell. Even the Nirvana realm and the Supreme Palace knew about it. They flew back from the 17th level of hell. What was going on? They asked around and came to the 16th level of hell, to the Xia family. Where was the Xia family's patriarch? He came out. A peerless expert came from the Nirvana realm. The Xia family also came out and welcomed the people from the Nirvana realm. Not long after, the people from the Supreme Palace also came. Both sides gathered together. When they learned about the situation, they were stunned. Someone opened the 9 underworlds? 2 people came out of the 9 underworlds. This was impossible. Great Emperor Baiyu shook his head and said, the conditions to open the 9 underworlds were very strict. The childless heavenly steel hadn't been gathered yet. It wasn't time yet. How could it be opened? The Netherworld sovereign also came from the Paragon Palace. He also said that he wasn't lying to them. The 2 great emperors from the Xia family had cold expressions. They said with gritted teeth, to be honest, the 2 of us still don't believe it. But we did come from the 9 underworlds. As for how the 9 underworlds' power was opened, it was a woman who entered the 9 underworlds from the outside world. She had the most mysterious 9 underworld sword in the 9 underworlds. Legend had it that the 9 underworld sword had an ability to open the 9 underworlds. It was equivalent to a key. She slashed open the void with her sword, and the 2 of us fell out. How could such a thing happen? The others were shocked after hearing it. The legendary 9 underworld sword. How magical. Can you still go back? Great Emperor Baiyu asked. The 2 great emperors snorted. They couldn't go back for now. They could only use normal methods to open it. However, the previous patriarch said that it would be difficult. To open the 9 underworlds, besides the wordless heavenly steel, one also needed the 9 underworlds physique. However, the 9 nether body had already entered the broken passageway. He went in. That's right, and that 9 young divine body, he also disappeared. Now, unless he waited for them to come out, it would be very difficult to open the 9 netherland. What? There was actually such a thing? When they heard these words, Great Emperor Baiyu and the others were stunned. 9 young divine body. Was it that Lin Wudi? Lin Wudi had entered the 9 serenities. This was not good news. However, they had no other choice. They could only wait here. Some of them were in hell, guarding it. The other great emperors quickly returned to their posts. At the other side, Xiaojio, Lin Xian, and the others also sighed with emotion after entering the 9 netherland. This was the magic of the 9 netherland. Lin Xian was very curious. He asked Qi'er, what have you been through all these years? How did you get in? Xiaojio was also very confused. Xueqi said, to be honest, I don't know how I came in here, but I activated something. It was something left behind by the previous 9 in divine body. Husband, didn't I tell you before? There are relics left behind by the previous 9 in divine body in hell. After I entered and obtained the treasury, I was teleported here. There are many resources in the relics, as well as the insights of the previous 9 in divine body. I used these to break through in the 9 netherland and became a great emperor. After that, I went to look for the 9 nether sword. Because the 9 nether sword has a function, it can open the Nine Netherland. That was why the scene from before had occurred. The few of them were shocked. Although Xueqi made it sound simple, they knew that the process was probably extremely difficult. At the same time, Lin Xian was also surprised. The Nine Nether Sword had such a function. It was really magical. Oh right, there shouldn't be any restrictions on becoming a great emperor here, right? This time, Old Xia is also going to become a great emperor. Xueqi said. No. The Nine Netherland was one of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The laws of heaven and earth here were not the same as the outside universe. Therefore, many people could break through to the great emperor realm here. That's great. Xia Jiuyo heard his words and heaved a sigh of relief. There were shackles of the heavenly Tao outside, so he could prove his Tao here. At this time, Xueqi said that although there was no suppression from the heavenly Tao, proving one's Tao was an extremely difficult thing. This fact would not change even in the Nine Netherland. Therefore, it was also very difficult to prove one's Tao here. It could be said that there was a chasm between heaven and earth that blocked most people. However, with Old Xia's strength, it shouldn't be a problem. After she finished speaking, she looked at Lin Xian and said, "Husband, it's best that you don't prove your Tao in the Nine Netherland. You need to go to the outside universe and prove your Tao." Why? Lin Xian was surprised. He said that the heavenly Tao suppression in the outside universe was very strong, and he was afraid that no one would be able to prove their Tao here. After the descent of the deity ground, the first person to prove his Tao and become a great emperor in the universe had a special meaning. Therefore, all parties were fighting for this opportunity. Husband, you have the strength, so you must not miss this opportunity. The suppression of the heavenly Tao this time should be because the people of the Nirvana realm took action. They were afraid that this opportunity would be snatched away by others. Why? Lin Xian was surprised. Xia Jiuyo and the others didn't understand either. Xueqi said, "When I got the treasury of the previous generation's 9 Nether, I saw the message left by him. It seemed that the first person to prove his Tao after the descent of the deity ground was qualified to go to the place of destiny." The place of destiny? Lin Xian was shocked when he heard this. Could it be one of the 9 heavens and 10 earths? Xueqi nodded. Yes, it was said that it was a place that could defy the heavens and change one's fate. Therefore, all parties wanted to increase this opportunity. Defy the heavens and change one's fate. Lin Xian was surprised when he heard this. Although he didn't know what it was used for, he definitely wouldn't let the Nirvana realm take this opportunity. He said, "Okay, then I'll be the first person to prove my Tao in the universe." Since Xueqi was going to prove her Tao in the Nine Netherland, she didn't take up the space of the universe. Xia Jiuyo wouldn't be able to prove his Tao in the universe, so Lin Xian still had a big chance. Let's go and find a place to let Old Xia break through and prove his Tao here. Lin Xian had 2 goals in coming to the Nine Netherland. The first was to let Xia Jiuyo prove his Tao and become a great emperor. The second was to increase his strength. He also wanted to prove his Tao in the universe as soon as possible. Let's fly ahead. I'm not too familiar with this place. The Nine Netherland is very big, and I've only been to some places. Xueqi led the way, and the group soared into the sky. A few days later, a black desert appeared in front of them. Everyone felt that a huge pressure was pressing down on them from the sky. Even great emperors couldn't continue flying. Xia Jiuyo exclaimed, "Flying is forbidden here. We can only walk on the ground." Chapter 60-20. The group landed on the ground. The Black Desert was extremely cold. Those who were weak would probably die instantly if they stood on it. Fortunately, the group was very strong. Even though Xia Xingqian was a little weak, she was safe and sound with the protection of the group. There was a crack. At this time, Xia Xingqian exclaimed, "What's that?" He kicked the sand into the desert. The black sand was kicked away, and a piece of bone floated out from the sand. Then, many bones quickly condensed in the surrounding sand. Then, they condensed into a skeleton. The land of 9 serenities was already extremely terrifying. He was still in hell, but hell was already full of undead creatures. Not to mention the land of 9 serenities. This was the world of souls. Therefore, it was normal to see skeletons. They would probably encounter all kinds of souls and remnant souls later. This skeleton turned out to be a snake. After it reassembled its body, it stared at Xia Xingqian, emitting a cold aura. Xia Xingqian was startled. Lin Xian snorted coldly, "Get down!" He took a step forward, and a dragon's roar came from his body. The skeleton snake was startled. Its hair stood on end, and all the bones in its body stood up like sharp swords, staring at Lin Xian. Then, the skeleton tail slapped fiercely, but it was sent flying by Lin Xian's punch. The next punch shattered the sky full of skeletons. Lin Xian said, "You? How dare you attack me?" The skeleton snake was shocked. What a terrifying power. Why do I feel that this person has the power of a great emperor? It gritted its teeth and said, "Stop, you can't attack anymore. The zombie emperor is sleeping in front of us. If you enter, you will be challenging the zombie emperor." "Is that so? So what if I challenge him?" Lin Xian walked forward, and the skeleton snake retreated in horror. However, he stopped when he retreated to a place where the sand formed a whirlpool. Then, a terrifying breathing sound came from below. With each breath, the sky fell and the earth cracked. The aura of an emperor spread out. "Husband, be careful. I feel an unusual aura." Xueqi frowned tightly. Xia Jiuyo and the others were also on guard. "Kid, did you see that? The corpse emperor's strength isn't something you can challenge. Leave quickly." The white-boned giant python said coldly. Lin Xian said, "I'd like to see what it is." With a palm strike, he tore the ground into two halves. An underground palace appeared. "Damn it, you dare to go to the back." However, he couldn't stop it at all. He was even sent flying by Lin Xian's slap. When Lin Xian looked down, his figure flashed and he jumped down. The others followed suit. They entered the underground palace. The giant python also came down and coiled on the ground. He shouted angrily, "We can't go any further." Lin Xian looked around and found that the entire underground palace was desolate and ancient, with the aura of time. In the underground palace, there was only one thing, and that was a person. That figure was tied to a stone pillar. His body was already extremely withered, just like human skin. However, he wasn't dead. Everyone could clearly feel that he was breathing and sleeping. However, there were chains running through his body, trapping him here forever. After Lin Xian saw this, he sneered coldly. "I was wondering what it was." It turned out that it was a person who had been imprisoned. Buzz. As if he had heard Lin Xian's mockery, the figure tied to the stone pillar suddenly opened his eyes. There were two flames dancing in his eyes, and a terrifying aura swept out. "Not good." Xia Jiuyo cried out in alarm. Jiuyo's soul was so scared that he prostrated himself on the ground. Xueqi shot out a layer of ice to block his attack. However, cracks appeared on that layer of ice. Even Lin Xian was surprised to see that Yi Futian possessed two divine fires. It was so terrifying. He had surpassed ordinary great emperors. Ordinary great emperors only had one divine flame or immortal energy. Two of them would be extremely terrifying. This person had actually managed to cultivate two das. Furthermore, he was actually trapped here and suppressed for all eternity. Who had done this? The person who had done this must be even more terrifying. The withered figure stared at Lin Xian and said coldly, "Kid, Tin Crown King, how dare you be so arrogant in front of me?" Lin Xian laughed. "You've been suppressed. How dare you be arrogant in front of me? Do you want to die?" The withered figure roared angrily and activated his divine flames. A majestic power swept across the land. Not good. Xia Jiuyo and the others hurriedly defended themselves and used all of their bloodlines. Xueqi also shot out her 9 mysterious ice. Lin Xian waved his hand. It was like a divine sword that split the land. He said coldly, "You're strong, but you've been suppressed. This isn't your time." "How arrogant." The withered figure was surprised. "I didn't expect to meet such an arrogant person like Lin Xian." However, when he saw Xia Jiuyo and the others behind Lin Xian, his expression changed drastically. "You're from the Xia family." Damn it! His body shook, and a majestic power erupted again. The 9 heavens and 10 lands were shattering. The entire desert was raging as if it was about to be destroyed. Not good, Shueqi said. Husband, let's retreat. Lin Xian also frowned. He said, you know the Xia family? Not only do you know them, but they're the reason why I'm like this. They plotted against me. The withered man roared crazily. It's been tens of thousands of years. I didn't expect to meet the Xia family again. I'll catch you and make you wish you were dead. He made a ferocious sound. Xia Xingqian was scared, and her face turned pale. Lin Xian snorted coldly. I don't care what kind of grudge you have with the Xia family, but you can't touch them. They're from the outer universe, and they have nothing to do with what happened back then. What? The outer universe? The white-boned python exclaimed. The withered figure was also stunned. What? Has the 9 serenities opened again? Impossible. I didn't feel many great emperors coming. You're lying to me. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Who's lying to you? Sense it. Do you feel the aura of the 9 serenities on me? Lin Xian performed the 9 suns' divine body. Like a sun god, he shone in all directions and seemed to melt the cold aura around him. The python's body trembled and it crawled on the ground. This power was its natural nemesis. The withered figure was also shocked. The power of the purest yang does not belong to the 9 serenities, because you can't cultivate this kind of power here. You're really from the outer universe. Lin Xian nodded and said, that's right. Besides, our enemy is also the Xia family. Maybe we can cooperate. Kid, are you lying to me? Is there an internal strife in the Xia family? The withered figure said. Lin Xian said, it's a long story, but it's up to you to believe it or not. Okay, I believe you. Well, tell me, how did you get tricked by the next family? After Lin Xian sat down, he waved his hand and took out a lot of exquisite food and wine from the sword world. He sat on the ground and everyone enjoyed it. The white-boned python was dumbfounded. Who would dare to be so arrogant in front of its master? Do you think you're on vacation? After all, its master possessed 2 divine flames. Humph. Tens of thousands of years ago, I cooperated with the 2 ancestors of the Xia family. Together, we explored a new ancient city. In the end, I was ambushed and seriously injured by them inside. The treasures were also snatched away by them. They tied me up here, making it impossible for me to escape. They even killed and tortured me. In the end, I was killed by them. However, I was unwilling to give up. With the help of the power of heaven and earth, I came back to life. I'm now a corpse emperor, using corpses to cultivate. If one day I can escape, I won't forgive those 2 old thieves. Chapter 60:21. Lin Xian frowned when he heard this. Was the Xia family so despicable? He said, can you tell me how strong the Xia family is? Kid, you don't even know how strong the Xia family is, and you dare to make an enemy of them? The corpse emperor was surprised. Lin Xian said, no matter how strong they are, can they be stronger than the heavenly king? The corpse emperor shook his head. Of course, they are not as strong as the heavenly king. However, the Xia family is also very terrifying in the 9 serenities. The Xia family had always lived in the 9 serenities and was a super family. There were many geniuses and great emperors in his family. There was even an earth immortal in the Xia family. So powerful. Lin Xian frowned. That's not right. If there was an earth immortal, would you dare to take revenge on the Xia family? He didn't believe it. The strength of an earth immortal far exceeded that of other great emperors. If that earth immortal woke up, I naturally wouldn't dare. However, 1,000,000 years ago, there was a great battle. When the 9 serenities opened, countless experts and powerhouses of the 9 serenities went on expeditions to the universe, wanting to conquer other places. They even wanted to conquer the other 9 heavens and 10 lands. However, they failed. In fact, they were severely injured. The earth immortal of the Xia family was seriously injured in that great battle. In the end, he only managed to escape with half his life. From then on, he slept in the most ancient place of the Xia family. Until now, he probably hadn't woken up yet. Recover. There was such a thing. Lin Xian was surprised when he heard this. Is the battle a million years ago related to the great dragon sword? He asked secretly. The great dragon said, yes, it should be that battle. However, I didn't injure him. It should be the celestial slashing sword that injured him. Celestial slashing sword. Lin Xian was surprised. Isn't that the same battle sword as the celestial slaying sword in my hand? It was said that it was the battle sword of a peerless expert who was all-powerful. Now, he only had one of them. From the looks of it, this all-knowing character should be extremely terrifying. Could it be that he was even more terrifying than an Earth immortal? If I have a way to let you go, what do you plan to do? The corpse emperor was stunned. Really? Then, he shook his head. Impossible. Little guy, I can sense that you are only 10-crown king, not even a great emperor. Although this little fairy beside me is a great emperor, she's just a divine fire. She can't save me. As for those from the Xia family, they were even worse off. Thinking of this, the corpse emperor shook his head. Lin Xian said, although I'm not a great emperor, my trump cards are not something you can imagine. So, I just want to ask you, what do you plan to do now that I've saved you? Of course, he was going to find trouble with the Xia family. He was going to turn the world upside down and take revenge for what happened back then. Okay. The corners of Lin Xian's lips curled up. If they were to help Xia Jiyo achieve a breakthrough, they would definitely attract the attention of the 9 underworlds. If the Xia family were to make a move then, it would be troublesome. Hence, he had to find an enemy for the Xia family. That way, the Xia family would not have the time and energy to pay attention to them. Yes, he said. However, before I save you, use your divine flame to swear to the heavenly Tao. You can't threaten us or harm us. No problem. The corpse emperor hurriedly swore, and everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Then, the corpse emperor looked at Lin Xian and said, young man, what are your methods? If you dare to lie to me, don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Xian said, then watch carefully. He took out the immortal slaying sword and slashed at the chain. With a clang, flames danced. The entire hall began to shake violently. The corpse emperor was stunned because he found that a small gap had appeared on the chain that trapped him. Oh God, what kind of sword is that in your hand? Why is it so terrifying? It was indeed useful. Lin Xian was overjoyed. After learning that the immortal slaying sword had once injured an earth immortal, Lin Xian knew that the grade of the immortal slaying sword should be far superior to ordinary extreme weapons. It was at least at the level of an earth immortal. Therefore, Lin Xian now had no problem cutting the chain with the immortal slaying sword. In addition, he also had the power of the great dragon sword soul. Therefore, it only took 10 days for the two to work together. Lin Xian cut the chain. Hurry up and retreat. I'm going to break the remaining chains. These chains formed an array. If one was broken, the rest would be easy. Therefore, the corpse emperor said coldly, let's go. Lin Xian and the others waved their hands and left the underground palace. They came to the desert. The corpse emperor said, not enough. Go further. Lin Xian and the others quickly retreated. However, the corpse emperor roared at the sky. His voice was like thunder, and the entire desert cracked. At this moment, there were some creatures near the desert. They were terrified. What happened? There were some bones in the desert. They didn't have time to escape. They were all turned into ashes. The entire desert was pierced through. An endless black hole pierced through heaven and earth. A terrifying phenomenon shone in all directions. At this moment, everyone was shocked. What happened? It was too terrifying. A peerless master had appeared. The 9 serenities was different from the heavens. The heavens was desolate, and there was no one there. The 9 serenities was somewhat similar to the eternal land. There were many people there. However, it was different from the eternal land. In the eternal land, there was only one force, the nirvana realm. And in the 9 serenities, there should be different families and sections. However, these people hadn't gone out for 1,000,000 years. The sky of the 9 serenities was black. At this moment, billions of stars were collapsing. A long roar sounded. Then, the chains in the sky shattered, and the corpse emperor rushed back. He looked up and laughed. I'm finally out. Ha 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 ha. His laughter was loud and clear, shattering the sky. It couldn't be helped. An emperor with 2 divine fires was too terrifying. In the next moment, he lowered his head and stared at Lin Xian and the others. Xia Jiuyo and the others felt their hair stand on end. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. He wasn't afraid. He clenched the immortal slaying sword in his hand. He wanted to see what the other party would do. After waiting for a while, the atmosphere was silent. The corpse emperor didn't make a move. Instead, he said, "Kid, just wait. It won't be long before you hear the news of the Xia family's battle." With that, he waved his hand and left the desert with the white bone python. "Thank you for successfully saving my master. This is a treasure I picked up when I was bored. I'll give it to you." In the sky, the voice of the white bone python came. In the next moment, a black box fell from the sky. Lin Xian waved his hand, caught it, and opened it. It was a black stone with an extremely terrifying aura. As soon as the aura approached Lin Xian's 9 young divine body automatically defended and turned into 9 suns. Obviously, it was as if it was facing a great enemy. This surprised Lin Xian. This thing wasn't simple. However, he couldn't use it. He gave it to Xia Jiuyo and said, "Elder Xia, take it. You should be able to accept it." After Xia Jiuyo saw it, he nodded. What a terrifying 9 serenities aura. This should be a 9 serenities stone. Its grade should be very high. Then I'll take it. Xia Jiuyo was also accumulating strength to break through to the great emperor realm. Lin Xian said, "Don't worry about the Xia family. Next, let's find a place with good feng shui. You can break through in peace." The group went on their way again. However, a storm was brewing in the 9 serenities. Many people saw a black light cut through the void, causing the sky to fall and the earth to crack. Below, endless power disappeared. It was all sucked away. The peerless powerhouse attacked. Every place he went, he absorbed the power there and destroyed countless sections. The people of the 9 serenities were shocked. A great emperor, an extremely terrifying one. What kind of old monster had appeared? Chapter 6022. The desert was huge, and Lin Xian and the others had to walk for several days to get out of it. Xueqi sighed with emotion. "I'm a divine fire, but I can't fly. That corpse emperor can fly in the sky. It seems that a great emperor with 2 divine fires is really terrifying." "Yes." Lin Xian nodded. "He's been trapped for so many years, but he's still so powerful. Once he recovers to his peak, the Xia family will have a headache." Even in the 9 underworlds, great emperors were supreme existences that stood above everyone else. Their status was almost the same as in the universe. The only difference was that there weren't only great emperors here. In the past few days, Lin Xian had also explored the Black Desert. He found that it wasn't suitable for cultivation. At least, he wasn't satisfied with it. Then, they continued on their way. They saw forests and mountains. Lin Xian also shook his head. No, it's enough for ordinary saints and quasi-emperors. However, it's still not enough for them to become great emperors. They didn't travel fast when they came out of the 9 underworlds. So, they often stopped to rest and explore the situation. When they had nothing to do, Lin Xian took Xueqi to the Sword World to dual cultivate with her. Cultivating with the 9 yin and 9 yang at the same time was very fast. Moreover, Xueqi was now a great emperor. As a result, Lin Xian's 9 yang divine body became even more terrifying. Lin Xian also felt that his divine fire was pulsating. "It seems that my husband is not far from becoming a great emperor," Xueqi said with a smile when she felt the power of the divine fire seed in Lin Xian's body. Lin Xian shook his head. "However, I want to make a breakthrough with both the divine fire and immortal energy." After all, it wasn't easy for him to cultivate these 2 powers. He didn't want to give up. Moreover, his father, Lord Alcohol, the Demon Emperor, and the Heavenly Court all failed when they fought against the Permitha. Could he succeed this time? He wasn't sure, so he had to do it to the extreme. If he could cultivate both the divine fire and immortal energy at the same time, he might be able to increase his chances of success. However, Xueqi frowned. It's too dangerous. She had never heard of anyone succeeding. Even those Earth immortals would not dare to do so. Although the two types of power were both powers that surpassed everything, it would be very difficult to fuse them together in a single person. Indeed, Lin Xian also felt it now. Only he had the divine body of the Great Success Stage and the yin-yang image. Only by fusing yin and yang could the divine flame and the immortal qi seed exist in his body at the same time. Otherwise, if it were anyone else, their body would have long collapsed. Right? There's always a way. Lin Xian said, the seed of divine flame is easy to improve, but the power of immortal qi is a little weak at the moment. So, next, I have to cultivate some immortal energy. This was not difficult. Xueqi said, there are many great emperors in the Nine Nether who cultivate immortal energy. Their resources should be suitable for cultivating immortal bodies. Even though you can't absorb the netherworld energy directly, I can help you convert it. This was the benefit of dual cultivation of the 9 yin and 9 yang. Therefore, Lin Xian could also cultivate in the 9 serenities. Of course, if he were alone, it would be much more troublesome. Then, the group went on their way again. While looking for the place where Xia Juyo broke through, Lin Xian thought about the future. He had a guess. For example, he could cultivate immortal energy with the Rinnegan as the foundation of his soul. He could cultivate the divine flame with the divine body of the 9 yang as the foundation of his body. Would this be compatible? Lin Xian didn't know, but he was trying to find a way. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. On this day, Lin Xian and the others were walking on the mountain road. While feeling the netherworld energy around them, they were looking for a suitable place to cultivate. Suddenly, the sound of the void vibrating came from ahead. Someone was running with all his might. Lin Xian and the others stopped. They were very vigilant. Although they had encountered some dangers in the past month, most of them were demonic beasts. This time, they seemed to have sensed a power that was different from that of demonic beasts. Everyone, be careful. Lin Xian looked ahead with his Rinnegan as he warned them in a deep voice. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure flew into the range of their souls. It was a young man with black hair and bright eyes. However, his clothes were tattered, and several chains were tied to his body. On the other end of the chains was an ancient coffin. The young man was struggling to pull it, but he was very strong. The reason for that was because wherever he passed, the surrounding space would tremble incessantly, and the earth would also surge violently. This was the 9 Nether realm. If it were the outside universe, the world would probably have been torn apart. The young man's face was covered with sweat as he walked. When he saw Xueqi, he was overjoyed. Elder sister, please save me. Save you? Xueqi was taken aback. Lin Xian frowned. This young man was not simple. This was because Xueqi was the one he had asked for help. This meant that he had detected that Xueqi's cultivation was the highest. It should be noted that Xueqi had restrained her divine fire, and the others could not detect it. However, this little guy had detected it in an instant. This was interesting. Lin Xian asked, why should I save you? I have treasures. The young man raised his head and said. Lin Xian looked at him and said with a smile, if I'm not wrong, you don't even have a storage ring. Where did you get treasures? When the young man heard this, he put down the coffin and said, it's him. There are treasures in it. I will sell it and exchange it for natural treasures. After that, I will pay you. Right after he said those words, before Lin Xian could say anything, a cold harumph sounded from afar. You can't run away. When I catch you, I will let you know what regret is. How dare you run away from me? You don't know life from death. The voice was sharp, and it carried a terrifying immortal energy that shocked Xia Jiuyo and the others. It was a great emperor who was chasing after them. When the young man heard this, his face turned pale. He said, Elder sister, come and save me. The great emperor of sword martial arts is very scary. If I am caught by him, I will die. No, I can't die even if I want to. Xueqi looked at Lin Xian, asking for Lin Xian's opinion. At this moment, the dragon in Lin Xian's body said, check. There is a strange movement in your sword world. Lin Xian was stunned. He probed with his soul spirit and was stunned. In the sword world, a green lamp and a bone suddenly moved. The green lamp was the longevity lamp, and the bone was the bone of a great emperor. This was something of the Yuhua immortal dynasty. It had always been calm. Why did it move today? Could it be that something had caused it to change? Lin Xian looked around. There was a great emperor in the distance. It should be impossible, because he could feel that there was only a wisp of immortal energy. This child shouldn't be able to do it. After thinking about it, Lin Xian stared at the coffin. The power of reincarnation bloomed in his eyes. Then, he was surprised. He couldn't see through it. His Rinnegan now had 6 paths and the true power of reincarnation, but he couldn't see it clearly. This coffin was not ordinary. What was inside might be related to the Yuhua immortal dynasty. Therefore, the corners of Lin Xian's mouth rose. He said, "I can save you, but this coffin belongs to me. No, this is something I risked my life to bring out. If I give it to you, how can I exchange it for treasures?" The young man shook his head. "You are the same as the great emperor of sword martial arts." Lin Xian said, "It's different. Give me the coffin and I will save your life. Also, I will give you treasures. What do you want? Just ask." Chapter 60:23. Rumbling sounds could be heard in front of them as a man walked over. This man was extraordinarily mighty. Sword light surrounded his body, and the piercing cold sword chi spread for millions of miles. He was a terrifying sword Dao expert. Xia Jiuyo and the others were shocked. Even Lin Xian squinted his eyes. Sword chi? It really surprised him. After all, he was also a swordsman. He didn't know whose sword technique would be stronger if they fought. "Little guy, you can't run away," the sword martial emperor said coldly after he arrived. He fixed his gaze on the young man. The young man's body trembled, and he came to Xue Qi's side. He said, "Sister, save me." The sword martial emperor frowned and looked at Xue Qi and the others. Soon, he fixed his gaze on Xue Qi. The reason for that was because he could sense that only Xue Qi was a true great emperor among those people. The others were all below the great emperor level. In his eyes, those below the great emperor level were all ants. Therefore, he didn't need to pay attention to them. "How should I address you, fairy? Which great emperor are you from?" the sword martial emperor asked in a deep voice. Xue Qi said, "You don't need to know who I am. I'll protect this child." The sword martial emperor frowned slightly after hearing this. However, he didn't want to fight with someone at the same level as him. Therefore, he said, "Okay, I'll give you face. I'll spare this young man's life. However, I have to take this sarcophagus back. It belongs to my sect, and he stole it." "No." The young man shook his head crazily after hearing this. At the same time, he said, "It doesn't belong to you. I got it by chance. How is it possible that it belongs to your sect? You just happened to see it and wanted to kill me to steal it." The sword martial emperor frowned after hearing this. He ignored the young man. In his eyes, the young man was just an ant. He stared at Xue Qi and said with a smile, "Fairy, what do you think?" Xue Qi didn't say anything, but Lin Xian walked out. He said, "We'll protect the young man and leave the sarcophagus. You can leave now. We'll spare your life." The sword martial emperor was stunned when he heard this. He couldn't believe his ears. Where did he get the confidence to spare his life? Saying such things. He stared at the figure in front of him and frowned. It wasn't the great emperor. This young man was not even a great emperor, yet he dared to be so arrogant in front of him. He snorted coldly. "Ant, do you have the right to speak here?" His eyes erupted with an extremely cold light that swept across the area. The resplendent light tore through the void. It could easily crush anyone below the martial monarch realm. Boom Lin Xian's sword chi also rushed out from his body. The violent power could destroy the heavens and earth. The two streaks of sword chi collided, causing a violent tremor. Then, they disappeared into the void at the same time. The martial sword emperor was stunned. "You can block it? Are you a swordsman too?" He was too shocked. The other party wasn't a great emperor, but he possessed the battle prowess of a great emperor. This surprised him. Frowning, he said, "May I ask how to address you?" "Lin Wudi," Lin Xian said indifferently with his hands behind his back. "What an arrogant name. Sword Martial Emperor frowned. However, it was a pity that he had never heard of this name. After all, the Nine Serenities was still sealed at this moment. Most of the news from the outside couldn't enter. Lin Xian said, "Go. If we really fight, you won't have any advantage. In fact, he might even lose his life here." Lin Xian's voice wasn't loud, but it shocked everyone, especially the young man, who was also surprised. This big brother dared to threaten a great emperor. It was too unbelievable. His eyes widened. The sword dance emperor also frowned. This young man's strength was not clear. Besides, there was a real great emperor here. Once they fought, he was likely to be at a disadvantage. Forget it, he would leave first. Then, he would secretly investigate the identity of this group of people. Was it a fierce dragon crossing the river? After he found out, he would come back. Anyway, in his opinion, the sarcophagus couldn't be opened for a while. "Okay, I'll give you face." The Sword Martial Emperor turned and left. Before he left, a trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. He quietly left a trace of sword chi under the ground. The Sword Martial Emperor turned into a streak of sword light, tore the void, and disappeared. He finally left. The Nine Serenities' soul and the others all breathed a sigh of relief. The young man also said, "Thank you, big brother." Lin Xian waved his hand, asking everyone to be quiet. He lowered his head, and his rinnegan shone. In the next moment, he suddenly tore the ground into pieces. With a boom, a streak of sword chi under the ground tried to escape. However, Lin Xian's palm slapped down hard. There were 9 suns circling on it. It directly enveloped the sword chi. Boom! The 9 suns exploded together, and the earth-shattering power shattered the sword chi. Then, he said, "Okay, no one is watching us." In the distance, on a mountain peak, the Sword Martial Emperor landed. His expression became gloomy and ugly. The sword chi he had left behind was actually destroyed by someone. Was he discovered? This group of people was indeed not simple. "Let's go." After shattering the sword chi, Lin Xian waved his hand and led the crowd away, arriving at another location. There was a valley here that they could enter. Lin Xian said, "What do you want?" He waved his hand and took out many treasures, including weapons, cultivation techniques, secret manuals, and elixirs. Lin Xian said, "Choose whatever you want. I'll give you 3. He had killed many powerhouses along the way, and even several great emperors had fallen in his hands. Therefore, he had a lot of treasures. It was a peerless treasure trove. As expected, the 9 Serenities' soul and Xia Xingqian's eyes lit up. However, the young man shook his head. Although he longed for these treasures, he had no choice but to accept them. However, he said, "No, I don't want these things. I want a mountain." A mountain? What did he mean? Lin Xian was stunned. The young man said, "I've taken a fancy to a mountain. I need you to help me take it down and then give it to me. If you can do it, I'll give you the sarcophagus. Otherwise, I'll pay you after I sell the sarcophagus." "Okay, it's just a mountain. I'll give it to you even if it's a mountain range." Lin Xian waved his hand and said generously, "Let me remind you, there are many powerful beings on that mountain." "It's okay," Lin Xian said. "Okay, it's a deal." The young man heaved a sigh of relief. They had made the right choice. Xia Zhiyo said, "What do you like?" "Take it." "Hee, big brother Lin. I won't stand on ceremony." Xia Xingqian rushed over and began to choose various treasures. "This is good. I'll take it for self-defense. This is good too." In the end, he was covered in weapons. "Let's see who dares to fight with me." Xia Xingqian stood in the void and pointed her sword forward. At this moment, she was covered in treasures. Even a quasi-emperor wouldn't be able to hurt her. "Okay." Lin Xian put away the rest of the treasures and said, "Let's go." The young man led the way, and everyone set off. The 9 Serenities' soul carried them and flew quickly. Finally, they arrived at a mountain range. This mountain range was extremely dark and eerie. Lin Xian frowned slightly because he could feel that this mountain range was unusual. Xueqi also said, "I feel that there's something in this mountain range. There seems to be some unknown existence." Chapter 6024. Looking at the mountain range in front of him, Lin Xian snorted coldly. I want to see what kind of demon it is. Then, he asked the youth, which mountain do you want? The youth pointed into the distance and said, counting from the south, the 9th mountain. I want that one. Okay, let's go. The group entered the mountain range. After entering, the pressure on their souls increased a lot, and all kinds of remnant souls appeared. One of the remnant souls even sneakily attacked Xia Xingchen. The armor on Xia Xingchen's body shone brightly and sent the remnant soul flying. Xia Juyo snorted coldly. He destroyed the remnant soul with a palm strike. Countless green flames lit up around them. These were the remnant souls floating in the air. Xia Xingchen's small face was pale. There are so many souls here. Xue Qi snorted coldly and took out the 9 nether sword. Then, she slashed forward. Immediately, a large number of remnant souls fled. They were terrified because the 9 nether sword seemed to be able to suppress them. Lin Xian also frowned. I feel that the aura here is not ordinary. There is probably a great emperor-level figure behind it. He looked at the youth and said, Are you sure you want this mountain? The youth nodded. Obviously, he was also very nervous. He said, This place is much more terrifying than the last time I came here. It's all because of that damned thing. If I kill it, I can take back the mountain. Then, this place will return to normal. No problem. I will kill it for you, Lin Xian said. In any case, there was what he wanted in the stone coffin, so he might as well help the youth. After getting the stone coffin, he could make the Yuhua immortal dynasty owe him more favors in the future. This would be very useful. Xue Qi waved her 9 nether sword, and the remnant souls around them all retreated. Along the way, they were unimpeded. Finally, they arrived at the 9th mountain. This 9th mountain was very special. Xia Juyo glanced at it and said, The momentum of heaven and earth here is very strange. I feel that there are special earth veins under the ground. Yeah, Lin Xian also nodded. The terrain here was very complicated, and it formed a transcendent force. It was unknown whether it was natural or man-made. If it was formed naturally, then this was indeed a super good place for ghost cultivators. However, if it was done by someone, then that person was truly cruel and terrifying. Let's go and ascend the 9th summit. The crowd headed forward. However, as soon as they set foot on the mountain, countless ghost chi gushed toward them. All kinds of roars rang out, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. Xue Qi shot out her frigid ice, which sealed the whole world. Lin Xian raised his head and looked into the distance. He shouted coldly, Get out here. The 6 paths of reincarnation emitted a brilliant glow and swept the remnant souls away. Those remnant souls let out miserable cries. The void split open, and a figure appeared. It was a young man, but his eyes were empty, as if he was being controlled by something. After he arrived, he said coldly, Are you here to die again? With a wave of his hand, the countless souls in the area immediately rushed toward Zhang Xian. It was as if the entire area had been transformed into the 9 netherworlds. Young master, let me deal with it. The 9 nether soul rushed over. He wanted to prove himself. No matter what, he possessed the strength of an utmost exalted. Thus, as soon as he made his move, his powerful aura swept across the surroundings. Those remnant souls were sent flying. The 9 nether soul charged toward the ancient young man. Be suppressed. His strength was terrifying. The ancient young man kept swaying. He landed on the ground. Then, he formed a seal with his palms. Immediately, the ground cracked open, and all kinds of terrifying formations were formed. In the sky, a terrifying storm swept across, erupting with terrifying power. It actually sent the 9 nether soul flying. Damn, what a terrifying formation. His strength is obviously not as good as mine, but he possesses such a strange power. The 9 nether soul was greatly surprised. Xia Juyo also said, Be careful. Don't worry, I can do it. The 9 nether soul rushed forward again. The 2 of them fought fiercely, but after 100 moves, the 9 nether soul was sent flying again. In fact, he was even crushed by an enormous black hand in the sky. Young master, save me. He screamed in horror. Lin Xian snorted coldly and punched out with the Nine Suns' divine fist, shattering heaven and earth. Only then did he save the other party. Young master, I'm so useless. The Nine Nether Soul was very depressed. Lin Xian said, It's not your fault. He's very strong. Lin Xian furrowed his brows tightly. He could tell that the young man's cultivation was definitely not as strong as the Nine Nether Soul. However, his strength was very strong. The young man had borrowed the power of heaven and earth to form all kinds of formations. Lin Xian had seen this method before. Many formation masters knew how to use it. However, Lin Xian felt that it surpassed ordinary formations. It was a bit like Ruzalong's. Husband, can I deal with him? Xueqi said. With her strength, even if the young man knew many formations, it would not make a difference. Lin Xian shook his head. No, I'll do it myself. I've discovered some problems, and I want to verify them. Problems? Xueqi was surprised. At this moment, Lin Xian walked over. He stretched out his hand, and the Nine Suns' divine flame jumped and flew out. Lin Xian's body was so strong that even great emperors were no match for him. Thus, those spirit formations began to shatter non-stop. However, the ancient young man did not seem to be afraid. His expression became stern and ferocious. In the next moment, he waved his hand, and all kinds of lightning fell from the sky. It was actually the terrifying lightning. Rumbling sounds could be heard. Lin Xian fought with him, but he did not finish him off in an instant. This was because he was analyzing it with his Rinnegan. After a while, his frown deepened. That's right, it was very similar to Ruzalong's. However, its power seemed to be even more terrifying than Ruzalong's. Ruzalong's formation had an ancient name. It was called the Earth Scripture. It could mobilize all kinds of dragon veins and spirit veins under the earth. Its power was extremely terrifying. The Crimson Dragon could also fight people of a higher level. It was very powerful. However, what was going on with the ancient young man in front of him? Could it be that he could also use the Earth Scripture? No, it seemed to be even more magical than the Earth Scripture. If only Ruzalong was here, it would be great. Unfortunately, he did not come. Lin Xian looked forward and said in a deep voice, What kind of cultivation technique are you practicing? Humph. I am the chief disciple of the Heavenly Master. I advise you to leave quickly, or you will die. The young man in the ancient Taoist robe said coldly. However, his voice was very mechanical, as if he was being controlled. Heavenly Master? Lin Xian frowned. Xia Juyo exclaimed, Could it be that he is the legendary Heavenly Master? Lin Xian asked, What is a Heavenly Master? Xia Juyo said, It is a kind of formation. However, this formation is the most powerful one. It can mobilize all kinds of power of heaven and earth. The top Heavenly Master can even fight against a great emperor. It's so magical. I want to ask, how does it compare to the Earth Scripture? There were two branches in the formation. One branch was the Earth Master. The other branch was the Heavenly Master. The highest secret skill that the Earth Master cultivated was called the Earth Scripture. The highest secret skill that the Heavenly Master cultivated was called the Heavenly Book. The person in front of him seemed to be a disciple of the Heavenly Master. He was very terrifying. Lin Xian was surprised. Only now did he understand why the other party's formation was so powerful. The ninth summit was actually related to the Heavenly Master. Xia Juyo said, Back then, the Heavenly Master appeared a few times, but he disappeared in the end. Unexpectedly, they were all in the 9 underworlds. The 9 underworlds had not been opened for 1,000,000 years. No wonder there was no trace of the Heavenly Master outside. Chapter 60-25. Humph. What celestial masters? They are not real celestial masters at all. I am the descendant of celestial masters. They are all bad people. The young man suddenly shouted excitedly. Lin Xian was surprised when he heard that. You are from the celestial masters? Everyone was surprised. Lin Xian also frowned. He felt that the ancient man in front of him seemed to be uncoordinated in his words and actions. It was as if he was being controlled. Forget it. he would suppress him first. Anyway, he had already promised this young man. Therefore, Lin Xian made a strong move. The 9 young divine palm pressed down on the ancient young man. The young man roared angrily. However, he couldn't resist it at all. He kept retreating. However, he used the heavenly book. Suddenly, the power of a celestial master erupted. The endless power of heaven and earth crushed Lin Xian's palm. To Lin Xian's surprise, he felt a great resistance. Lin Xian snorted coldly. It's useless. Although you have magical power, you are still no match for me. He pushed his palm out. The ancient young man's face turned pale, and he vomited blood. The gap between the two was too big. He couldn't use the power of a celestial master to make up for it. He turned into the sky. The injured ancient young man roared angrily. He used his heavenly book to the extreme. His body began to grow and become illusory. He seemed to have turned into a sky and came above Lin Xian's head. Submit, kneel, and worship the will of heaven. He roared again and again. That mysterious power surged into Lin Xian's body. Xia Jiuyo and the others exclaimed, "It's so terrifying. Is this the means of a celestial master?" It was incredible. They seemed to really represent the will of heaven and earth. A cold voice came from the sky. "It's useless. Even if you are a great emperor, so what? You still have to submit to me. I am the sky. I am the ruler." He pressed down on the ground. Lin Xian snorted coldly and released the 9 young divine body. 9 suns kept circling around. Your physique, what a familiar aura. Damn it, why can't I remember? A puzzled voice came from the sky. Then, it turned into an illusory face. That face became somewhat malevolent and painful, as if he had forgotten some of his memories. What kind of physique was this? Why does it feel so familiar to me? Everyone was surprised. Did he lose his memory? Lin Xian also frowned. Wake up. He shot out a beam of light of reincarnation, which fused into his opponent's body. With a loud boom, the sky started to tremble violently. A miserable voice was heard. Damn it. Don't think about it anymore. I'm going to kill you. The terrifying power in the sky continued to fall. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, a beam of sword chi shot out and split the heavens and earth apart. This sword chi was also familiar. What was it? Why can't I remember? The doubtful voice was heard once again. In the next moment, he let out a terrified cry. 5 swords under the heavens. This is the power of the great dragon sword. It's the great dragon sword. That's right. Who are you? Who are you? Where was this? What era was it? Where am I? He hugged his head and screamed. He seemed to be very confused. Who are you? Who controlled you? What's their purpose? Why did you occupy the 9th mountain? Are you really a heavenly master? His voice carried the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation, which attacked the opponent's soul. However, he could not get any answers. Lin Xian snorted coldly and shot out a Tai Chi diagram, which enveloped the opponent and suppressed him under the ground. He asked a few more times, but he still did not get any answers. Lin Xian said, "Let's go up the mountain and take him with us." The group of people went up the mountain. However, climbing up the mountain was as difficult as climbing the sky. With every step they went up, the power became stronger. Everyone knew that this was the power of a heavenly master. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He and Xueqi walked in front. The 9 Yin and 9 Yang heavenly masters joined forces and formed a terrifying power that bombarded the entire mountain path. With every step they took, the power was torn apart. The power of the 9 Yin and 9 Yang heavenly masters shattered everything. The group of people kept moving forward. Finally, they arrived at the top of the mountain. There was an ancient and dilapidated palace at the top of the mountain. There were even withered ancient trees. There was an old man with his back facing the group of people. The group of people could not see the old man's face clearly. However, the old man's aura was extremely terrifying. When the young man looked at the old man, his eyes turned red. He was a little nervous, but he did not dare to go forward. When Lin Xian saw this, he asked, "Do you know him?" The young man nodded. "He's my grandfather. However, he's being controlled. I don't dare to go forward. Big brother, you're so powerful. Can you save my grandfather? Lin Xian nodded. Don't worry. He walked forward and shouted coldly, the mastermind behind the scenes, come out. His Rinnegan condensed in the sky and looked down at the people. At this moment, it was as if a god was looking down at the earth. The entire ninth peak shook violently. Ghosts wailed and wolves howled, and a chilly wind blew. All kinds of shrill cries could be heard. Fortunately, everyone was an elite, so they were still calm. The old man in front of them turned his head with a strange smile on his face. He laughed coldly. Who are you? How dare you climb the ninth peak? How dare you suppress my eldest disciple? Go to hell. He waved his hand, and thunder appeared in the sky. A huge thunderbolt swooped down like a thunder dragon. This was the power of a great emperor. Xia Jiuyo and the others had all retreated. Only Lin Xian and Xueqi were still standing there. Xueqi snorted coldly. Nining divine palm. Her palm was covered with terrifying ice, and it directly froze the thunderbolt. Lin Xian stomped his foot and rushed over to the old man. He pressed his hand on the old man's head. However, the old man was very angry. He was also a great emperor. He waved his hand, and the transcendent power of heaven and earth collided with Lin Xian's palm. Then, both of them retreated. So powerful. Is this a great emperor heavenly master? This is a real heavenly master. Lin Xian was surprised. This was the first time he had fought with such a person. Every move of the other party carried a transcendent power. This was not the same as the power of immortal qi and divine fire. It was indescribable, but one could only feel it when one fought in person. Lin Xian waved his hand and took out the immortal slaying sword and the Qingquan sword technique. The heaven-defying sword technique followed. All kinds of piercingly cold sword qi destroyed everything. The heavenly master was instantly crushed to death. His face was full of shock. What a familiar sword qi. This is the power of the great dragon sword. Is the great dragon sword here? There was a trace of confusion on his face, but it was followed by pain. He let out a miserable cry. His body was full of black gas, and black smoke was flying out of his 7 orifices. Then, it formed a strange rune and imprinted itself on his forehead. Boundless heaven and earth, I am the supreme. 8 desolations and 6 directions, heed my command. Between heaven and earth, millions of thunderbolts condensed, and all kinds of heaven and earth phenomena surged. All of them attacked Lin Xian. Lin Xian engaged in a fierce battle with this transcendent power. He was shocked. If it were other great emperors, they would have been injured. However, he cut open the sky with his sword and all the heaven and earth phenomena were sent flying. He said, I want to see whether you are a human or a ghost. The heavenly master formed a seal with his palms and opened the sky with his palms. 9 netherworld beast, heed my command and appear. Suddenly, endless power of heaven and earth condensed from all directions to form a huge monster. They stood between heaven and earth. It was as if they were demonic beasts that had been resurrected from the ancient times. His eyes burst out with a biting cold sword light, wanting to take a look, but he couldn't see who the opponent was. Of course, he didn't dare to move forward. To be able to make the 9 netherworld beasts so scared, it might be an earth immortal. If he went to disturb, he would be slapped to death. So he could only guess there. That kid also went to that mountain. Could it be related to that kid? The sword martial great emperor thought of Lin Xian, but he quickly shook his head. Impossible. No matter how powerful that kid was, it was impossible for him to defeat the 9 netherworld beast. It was even more impossible for him to make the 9 netherworld beast submit. Seeing the 9 netherworld beast want to run, the heavenly master also roared. You can't leave. I summoned you. You fuse with me. Fight with it. The 9 netherworld beast was furious and slapped at the heavenly master. F*CKU. Are you trying to kill me? I'm not playing with you anymore. You can summon whoever you want in the future. I'll come again and I'll be your grandson. I'll remember you. Anyway, there aren't many heavenly masters in the 9 netherworlds. If you summon me in the future, I won't come even if you beat me to death." Everyone was dumbfounded. Was this what a summoned beast said to its master? The heavenly master was slapped and his body kept retreating. The 9 netherworld beast wanted to take this opportunity to leave. But Lin Xin said, "Wait, did I say you could leave?" The 9 netherworld beast's body trembled. He turned his head and was about to cry. "Young master, look at how magnanimous you are. Can you spare me this time? I can live, but tell me what's going on with the heavenly master. Why does this guy look so abnormal? Is he being controlled by someone? You don't even know the heavenly master? How did you cultivate to the great emperor level?" The 9 netherworld beast was stunned. Then he said, "The heavenly masters are a group of people who can use the power of heaven and earth. They can change the power of heaven and earth to form terrifying formations. Some even come to the universe and use some planets as formations to fight. It's extremely terrifying. As for whether this old man is being controlled or not, I don't know. I look at him strangely, but from the first day I met him, he's been so strange. Who knows if he's being controlled or not? It has nothing to do with me. Also, so what if he's being controlled? Someone who can easily control a heavenly master, how terrifying is that? I probably can't resist at all. Although you're the descendant of the great dragon, before you become an emperor, don't bother about these things. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to keep your life." Chapter 6027. It was obvious that the 9 netherworld beast was afraid of the culprit as well. Right at this moment, an angry roar rang out, shocking everyone. The 9 netherworld beast's expression changed drastically. Even Xueqi felt a chill run down her spine. Even a great emperor was frightened. This power was too terrifying. At the same time, the people around the 9th peak trembled in fear. When the sword martial emperor felt this power, he turned around and fled. He felt that this power had surpassed that of a great emperor. Lin Xin's pupils contracted, and he turned around. His eyes shone with the light of reincarnation. He saw that the heavenly master, who had been sent flying by the 9 netherworld beast, flew over again. A terrifying aura emanated from the old man's body. Even the great emperor was shocked by this terrifying power. "Oh no, what's going on?" Xueqi was shocked. The 9 netherworld beast also said, "Damn it, is this a mutation? Retreat. The heavenly master is about to use his trump card. Let's run." Boom. The heavenly master thrust out his palm, and it collided with Xueqi's 9 divine palm. Xueqi was forced to retreat. Lin Xin was shocked. This power was beyond his imagination. He said, "Qi, take them and retreat. I will kill him." Lin Xin took a deep breath, and a cold light shone in his eyes. The youth rushed over and said, "Grandpa, don't." However, Xueqi grabbed him. Lin Xin said, "Let's go." Xueqi retreated with the others. Even the 9 netherworld beast retreated far away. He said, "The heavenly master's mutation is really terrifying. Can this kid block it? He should be able to. After all, he has the power of the great dragon sword." The 9 netherworld beast was shocked. Xueqi and the others retreated, and they frowned. However, they were even more shocked when they saw the next scene. This was because they saw that green hair had appeared on the old heavenly master's body. It was extremely strange. It was as if he had turned into a wild beast. What's going on? Xia Jiuyo and the others were stunned. Is this the mutation that the 9 netherworld beast mentioned? The 9 netherworld beast said, "As expected, the situation is critical." More and more green hair appeared on the old celestial master's body. Gradually, the hair grew to over 1 meter long and covered his entire body. An extremely frightening and strange power emerged from it. What was that? Lin Xin's brows were also tightly knitted together. In the next moment, his expression changed because he realized that the old celestial master had made his move. In the blink of an eye, it was right in front of Lin Xin. Its green claws kept swinging and hitting Lin Xin. An earth-shattering sound rang out. Lin Xin was beaten until he kept retreating. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Xin landed on the ground, creating a crack in the ground. Endless dust filled the air. The old heavenly master roared at the sky. The nine netherworld beast exclaimed in shock. No way. This brat also broke through the barrier? He was ready to escape at any moment. However, at this moment, Lin Xian rushed out. Lin Xian's body shone brightly. Sword chi burst out, and the immortal slaying sword in his hand danced non-stop. It seemed to form one giant dragon after another, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. An invincible power surged out. This sword chi was extremely terrifying. Then, everyone was shocked. Lin Xian slashed forward with his sword and fought with the old celestial master. Although he didn't know what had happened to the old celestial master, he had to use all his strength. However, it seemed like he had to go all out now because his opponent was even more terrifying than a great emperor. The battle broke out in an instant. In the blink of an eye, 100 moves had passed. At this moment, Lin Xian roared. The immortal slaying sword and the dragon sword soul merged into one. It directly pierced the old celestial master's body. The old celestial master's body was pierced, and an extremely shrill cry came from his body. The old celestial master's face also became ferocious. The youth behind him exclaimed, "No," but it was too late. Green smoke appeared on the old celestial master's body. That suction force made one's scalp tingle. Lin Xian was also pushed back by this force. He waved his hand and pulled out the immortal slaying sword, frowning. He didn't know what was in the old celestial master's body. The old celestial master turned around and fled. He tore open the void and escaped from the 9th peak. Did he leave? Lin Xian frowned, but he didn't chase after him. He felt that if they continued fighting, something unknown would come out. The 9 netherworld beast was also surprised. As expected of the successor of the great dragon sword, he was indeed powerful. After all, the great emperors didn't dare to make a move against that mutated celestial master. Lin Xian looked at the old celestial master and said, "What exactly is that thing? Who knows who the mastermind is?" The celestial master had mysterious supernatural power. However, the more he was punished, the more he would be punished. Especially in the later stage, he would be punished and mutated. The green hair that grew just now was a mutation. In the end, he might become a zombie. He was delirious, but his combat strength had increased exponentially. What a strange celestial master bloodline. The 9 netherworld was indeed extraordinary. Lin Xian frowned. He looked at the young man again. The young man was crying, but he didn't blame Lin Xian. He said, "Big brother, if you meet my grandpa again one day, can you completely kill the thing in his body?" Lin Xian said, "I'll try my best." "Thank you." The young man bowed deeply to Lin Xian. "You've driven away that unknown monster. This sarcophagus is yours." The young man pulled the sarcophagus to Lin Xian's side. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up. "I finally got this thing." The 9 netherworld beast was surprised when he saw it. "What is this sarcophagus? Let me take a look." "Hey, I can't see through its soul. I want to see what treasure is inside." He slapped the sarcophagus with his claws. Oh no! The expressions of Xue Qi and the others changed. Then, in the next moment, they were stunned because they found that the sarcophagus didn't move at all. What's going on? Even 9 netherworld was stunned. It's impossible. He was also a martial monarch. How was it possible that he couldn't open it? Lin Xian glanced at him and said, "You're quite fast. You want the treasure, don't you?" He waved the great dragon sword soul in his hand. 9 netherworld quickly withdrew his claws. "You think too much. I just want to open it for you. I'm just curious." As he spoke, he carefully took 2 steps back. He didn't dare to move forward. However, his eyes fell on the sarcophagus. Xue Qi said, "Let me do it." He activated the 9 divine body and used the 9 divine claws to open the sarcophagus. However, the sarcophagus shook, but it didn't open. No way. Xue Qi was also surprised. She had the legendary physique in the starry sky. How could she not open it? "Husband, why don't you try?" She looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian nodded. He put away the immortal killing sword, grabbed the sarcophagus with both hands, and waved it hard. With a boom, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. A big crack appeared in the sky. The entire starry sky seemed to have collapsed. One could imagine how terrifying Lin Xian's physique was. However, the sarcophagus still didn't open. Was it so strange? Xia Xingqian and the others were stunned. Even Lin Xian looked at the young man. He asked, "How do you open it?" The young man looked embarrassed. He shook his head and said, "I don't know. I got this thing by chance." Lin Xian asked, "Where did you get it? Tell me what happened." The young man said, "It was in a mountain. At that time, there was a ray of light in the mountain. It seemed to be a white-boned snake carrying a zombie-like man. Monstrous laws swept down, shattering countless mountains. The sarcophagus fell from a mountain. At that time, it caused a great battle between countless powerhouses. There were even great emperors who attacked and sent the sarcophagus away. The sarcophagus took a blow from a great emperor and didn't break. In the end, it fell near me. I secretly took it away." Chapter 6028. There was a giant white-boned snake and a mummified corpse. Xia Jiuyo and the others exclaimed, "Isn't that the corpse emperor that Lin Xian saved before?" They didn't expect that the other party had something to do with this sarcophagus. It was the other party who broke out the sarcophagus. However, the other party must have done it unintentionally. It was probably the aura of the divine fire that fell down while they were on their way. After hearing this, the 9 netherworld beast also said, "This sarcophagus has an extraordinary origin. It couldn't even be broken by the great emperor's attack. I think it's very difficult to open it. It can't be like this. If you give it to me, I'll give you some other natural treasures. Let me take it back." The 9 netherworld beasts did have this plan, because there were other great emperors in their family. At that time, they could work together to break it. There must be unexpected treasures in such a strange, ancient sarcophagus. Lin Xian glanced at him and said, "Who said I can't open it? Can you open it? Although you are the successor of the great dragon sword, you are not omnipotent." "I don't believe it." The 9 netherworld beasts didn't believe it. The others were also puzzled. Xueqi walked over and said, "Husband, do you want the 9 yin and 9 yang to work together?" Lin Xian shook his head and said, "No. I can see that this thing has a mysterious aura. It can't be opened by force. I need some methods. So, I'll try." Lin Xian took out the longevity lamp from the sword world and placed it on the sarcophagus. A longevity lamp flickered slightly. Everyone could feel a majestic life force emerging from it. This lamp was so magical. The 9 netherworld beast was also shocked. What should I do next? He widened his eyes and looked carefully. He wanted to see what Lin Xian was going to use. A peerless superpower? However, Lin Xian didn't do anything. He just put the longevity lamp on the sarcophagus. He just looked at it with a smile. "Is this okay?" The 9 netherworld beast was even more confused. However, the next moment, with a crack, the sarcophagus slowly opened. "Damn, what's going on?" The 9 netherworld beasts jumped up. Xueqi and the others were also shocked. It seemed that this lamp had something to do with the sarcophagus. The young man's eyes widened. Everyone turned to look inside. In the next moment, they stared blankly. There was a bone inside the sarcophagus. To be exact, it was an arm. There was no light at all. It was just like an ordinary bone, which was quite surprising. The 9 netherworld beast rushed over and said, "No way. There was only a single bone in such a mysterious ancient coffin." He was very disdainful and even wanted to scratch it with his claws. However, in the next instant, a monstrous power came from the bone and sent him flying. The 9 netherworld beast let out a blood-curdling scream and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. He went crazy. "Who hit me?" The others were also astonished. In that instant earlier, they all felt their blood run cold. Lin Xian advised, "Don't act rashly. The origin of this bone is extremely extraordinary. He's not someone you can challenge." Lin Xian's eyes erupted with an extremely cold light. He found that his guess was right. This bone belonged to a sovereign. This was the palm of a venerable sovereign. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian picked up the longevity lamp, and the sarcophagus was closed again. Lin Xian put away the sarcophagus and put it in the sword world. The bone of a venerable sovereign was too terrifying. Even with the 6 paths of reincarnation, he couldn't summon it. In fact, no one could use it. Moreover, Lin Xian learned that the venerable sovereign was used for resurrection. Therefore, once the bone was collected, it was very likely that it would reappear in the human world. The 9 netherworld beast flew over and said, "Young master, can you tell me whose bone this is?" "It's too scary," Lin Xian said. "It's a very terrifying existence. Maybe it will come back to life one day." "So, you'd better be honest. It can come back to life." The 9 netherworld beast was so scared that it immediately stopped talking. It knew that some ancient existences would not be completely lost. Maybe there was a way to reappear. Lin Xian looked at it and said, "I need a pet. You plan to accompany me for a while." Hearing this, the 9 netherworld beast immediately turned around and ran. Who would be a pet of a 9 netherworld beast? It disappeared. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, he set up an array formation under the 9th peak. Then, he said to the youth, "All right, from now on, this peak is yours. However, I have an idea. I wonder if you agree?" "What idea?" "Big brother, just say it," the youth said. He was very grateful to Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "Can you let my friend stay here for a while? I feel that the terrain here is very good to cultivate here." Lin Xian pointed at Xia Xingchen and Elder Xia. The youth said, "No problem. Let this sister and grandpa stay here." Lin Xian said, "Elder Xia, what do you think of this place?" Xia Jiuyo said, "After coming here, I feel that the terrain is extraordinary. There is indeed the power I need here. It's not bad to become an emperor here." The 9th peak was very strange. Even the heavenly masters stayed here. This was enough to show that it was extraordinary. Lin Xian left the heaven-swallowing jar to Elder Xia and said, "Next, I might go to other places to look for opportunities. Leave the heaven-swallowing jar with you. I will leave an array formation here. If there is any danger, immediately send me a message. I will teleport back." He left some resources for Xia Jiu to cultivate. Then, Lin Xian and Xueqi went on their way. Lin Xian wanted to look for his own opportunities. He wanted to improve the power of the immortal Qi seed. The 9 netherworld spirit was also left behind to protect Xia Jiuyo. This guy was also very happy. If Xia Jiuyo could become an emperor, he would definitely benefit a lot. "Husband, where are we going next?" Xueqi asked. Lin Xian said, "Let's leave it to fate. Opportunities will always appear inadvertently." The two of them rested as they walked. Their days were very carefree and happy. Lin Xian's 9 Yang divine body and Xueqi's 9 Yin divine body became more and more mysterious and powerful. Half a month later, Lin Xian stopped. There was a plain in front of him. On the plain, there were countless buildings, pavilions, palaces, and manors. It was like a city. However, what was surprising was that there were no city walls or gates. There were only things inside the city. Lin Xian was curious. He walked over and asked, "You don't even know this?" A 9 netherworld's martial artist had a strange look on his face. "Where are you from?" Lin Xian frowned. He directly controlled the martial artist's soul and collected it. In the next moment, he knocked the martial artist unconscious. He understood that the 9 netherworlds was one of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The ancient cities here could not be built. They had existed since ancient times. It seemed that there was a certain number of them. It was neither more nor less. Ordinary people were not qualified to enter those ancient cities at all. Only extremely terrifying clans could enter. If others wanted to live, they could only live outside the ancient cities. Therefore, there were such tribes. At first, there were also people who wanted to build new cities. However, when they were just built, the cities were destroyed by a mysterious force. Even some emperors died because of it. From then on, the people of the 9 netherworlds knew that cities could not be built. However, they could build tribes. In other words, they were like cities. However, they could not have city walls. Chapter 6029. After learning about the tribe's situation, Lin Xian and Xueqi walked forward. However, after they entered the tribe, Many people stared at Lin Xian, and they started discussing him. Their gazes were somewhat strange. When Lin Xian used his soul power to listen, he understood that these people were talking about his aura. Xueqi had a 9 body, and she was in line with the 9 underworld's power. However, he didn't have such a power. Therefore, in these people's eyes, he was a monster. In fact, he might even be a useless cultivator. Lin Xian was left speechless. Humph! He snorted coldly, and his aura appeared. His high-level divine body swept across the crowd. As a result, the surrounding cultivators were so scared that they immediately knelt on the ground. Heavens! I just sensed the power of a great emperor. Is he a young great emperor? They began to worship him non-stop. They had spoken ill of a great emperor behind his back, and they would end up in a miserable state. Please spare our lives. We won't dare to do it again. They kept begging for mercy. Lin Xian walked into the tribe as they knelt on the ground. There was a manor in front of him. The whole manor was built on the back of a demonic beast, and it was quite peculiar. This was a walking manor, and it was also a place for eating and resting. The strength of the cultivators here was also higher than in other places. Lin Xian and Xueqi went into the walking manor and sat down in a hall. Shortly after, a short elf ran over and asked, "Sirs, what would you like to order? The walking manor has a lot of special delicacies." Lin Xian said, "Then, I'll have one of each of your specialties." After a short while, the table was filled with dishes. Xueqi ate them delicately. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was a little depressed. The aura of the netherworld contained in it was very rich. He had no choice but to open the Taiji diagram and let it revolve around his body. It was as if he was wearing a Taiji battle robe. He decided to use the 9 underworlds aura to cultivate the Taiji diagram's power. The Taiji diagram had yin and yang, and it could be used to cultivate the yin's power. Halfway through the meal, a group of distinguished guests arrived at the walking villa. Inside the villa, many people went out to welcome them. After they arrived, the others also made way for them. This was a group of youngsters. The one walking at the very front had an outstanding appearance. His identity was extraordinary, and there was a trace of hazy light on his body. It was young Master Yu. Many people exclaimed and greeted him. "Hello, young Master Yu?" Someone asked, "Who is this man? Was he very powerful?" "Idiot, this is Liuyue family's young Master Yu. Don't you know the Liuyue family? What a terrifying family. They were the top clans living in the ancient city." After the others heard this, they gasped. Those who could live in the real ancient city definitely surpassed them. They were existences that they could only look up to. An old man walked out and said with a smile, "Young Master Yu, are you also here to head to the Soul Valley?" Waving his folding fan, young Master Yu said with a smile, "I'm just here to check out the situation. The one who really wants to go to the Soul Valley is my big brother." It turned out that young Master Tianchen was going there. The old man also exclaimed. Young Master Yu nodded. "Yes, my big brother is now on the verge of a breakthrough. He is about to become a great emperor." Speaking of this, his face was full of pride. After the others heard this, they were even more shocked. What? Is he going to break through and become a great emperor? Young Master Tianchen has already reached this step? Oh my God! He is so extraordinary at such a young age. Is there finally going to be a new great emperor in the 9 Serenities? Countless people were shocked. Everyone went crazy. Although there was more than one great emperor in the 9 Serenities, every time he did so, it was an earth-shattering event. After all, it was very difficult to become a great emperor here. Many people turned into ashes at the last step. Many people stopped moving forward, lamented for thousands of years, and finally turned into ashes. It was really too difficult to become a great emperor. Whether it was in the 9 heavens and 10 earths or in the universe, it was as difficult as climbing to the sky. But now, the top genius of the Yu family, Yu Tianchen, was about to become a great emperor. Someone said, "I wonder if young Master Tianchen has any opponents? If not, he will definitely succeed in becoming a great emperor." Someone laughed and said, "Even if he has opponents, so what? Only one person can succeed in becoming a great emperor. Yu Tianchen can definitely step on everything and become a great emperor. Hearing this, Xueqi frowned slightly and said, Elder Xia seems to be in a bit of trouble. Although many people can become great emperors in the Nine Serenities, they can't do it at the same time. Only one person can become a great emperor at a time. This time, after Yutian City becomes a great emperor, Xia Zhiya will have to wait for a while. How could it be like this? Lin Xian frowned slightly. Xueqi said, This is not the worst. The worst is that two people will become great emperors at the same time. At that time, there will be a life and death battle. The one who succeeds will become a great emperor. The one who fails will not only have to wait for the next time, but it is very likely that his foundation will be damaged. He would never be able to attain the Tao, or he may die directly. I believe in Elder Xia. Even if it is a battle of great emperors, he won't lose. Lin Xian said. Indeed, if Xia Zhiya was lucky, he would have already proven his Tao and become a great emperor a few thousand years ago. This time, he had the opportunity to become a great emperor. He wouldn't lose to anyone. Young Master Yu and the others walked inside amidst the crowd's flattery. They wanted to go to the best VIP seats, but halfway there, they stopped. Young Master Yu's eyes lit up. This fairy looks unfamiliar. I wonder which family or sect she is from. He looked at Xueqi, and his eyes lit up. When the others saw Xueqi, they were also surprised. What a beautiful fairy! Xueqi frowned slightly. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Are you blind? Can't you see that she is taken? Boy, who do you think you are? You? Do you think you are worthy of such a beautiful fairy? You are just a toad. Get lost, or I will destroy you. Young Master Yu was very arrogant. The people next to him were also geniuses from big families. They sneered. Their auras spread out, and they wanted to suppress Lin Xian. Lin Xian laughed. You ants want to fight me? I will give you a chance to disappear from my sight. I can spare your lives. You are courting death. Guards, teach him a lesson. Behind him, a strong man walked over, wanting to attack Lin Xian. However, before he could reach him, Lin Xian's eyes pierced through him. Then, Lin Xian slapped young Master Yu to the ground. Young Master Yu screamed. His face was smashed, and many of his bones were broken. He didn't expect that the other party would dare to attack him. He turned his head abruptly, stared at Lin Xian, and said, You are dead. Boom. Lin Xian slapped young Master Yu again, turning him into a mist of blood. The people around him went crazy. Who is this guy? How dare he kill him? Isn't he afraid of the Yu family's anger? The sky was filled with a mist of blood. Lin Xian looked around at the young masters and said, You also attacked me just now, didn't you? The young masters were so scared that they almost knelt down. Sir, please spare our lives. They were about to cry. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Xian waved his hand and slapped the people around him into a mist of blood as if he were swatting flies. F***CK. He is too strong. This guy killed a few genius young masters. Those big families. They would never let him go. Chapter 60-30. Lin Xian continued to attack. With a few simple palm strikes, he killed several geniuses from the top clans. Everyone's scalp went numb. The people in the villa looked at Lin Xian as if they were looking at a monster. Where did this guy come from? He's too reckless. Does he know what kind of person he has offended? He doesn't know anything. He's just a hothead. Countless voices of discussion sounded. However, when Lin Xian's gaze swept over them, all of the voices disappeared. At this moment, the entire villa was terrifyingly quiet. Cheer, try this dish. What do you think? Lin Xian looked away and began to pick up food for Xueqi. The two of them tasted the special dishes of the 9 Serenities. After about half an hour, the two of them were full. Xueqi asked, Husband, where are we going? Let's go to the Soul Valley. I heard that something incredible has appeared there. If it's useful for the immortal Qi seed, it would be great. The two of them left their seats and walked out of the villa toward the Soul Valley. After Lin Xian left, the people in the villa heaved a sigh of relief. That young man's aura is too terrifying. What level has he reached? Is he a great emperor? Impossible. I didn't feel any great emperor's aura, but I guess he's not far away. I heard that he went to the Soul Valley. Yu Tianqin is also going to the Soul Valley to look for opportunities. Is he going to compete with Yu Tianqin? Who can become a great emperor between the two of them? Let's go and have a look. Let's go to the Soul Valley. Many people stood up and went to the Soul Valley. Many people went to the Soul Valley. Soon, the entire villa was shrouded in moonlight. It was very hazy. What a strange vision of heaven and earth. Some geniuses looked up, but in the next moment, they saw a pair of cold eyes walk out of the moonlight. It was an old man. He had a long saber in his hand that was shaped like a crescent moon. He looked at young Master Yu, who was split in half, and said in a deep voice, "Who killed him? Is it someone from the Yu family?" Countless people were shocked. The old man shouted coldly, "Soul capture!" Immediately, those people's souls were enveloped. They were simply unable to resist. A moment later, the old man attacked. With a slash of his scimitar, the armed police fell to the ground. These people died with their eyes wide open. Those who were still alive were horrified when they saw this scene. "Why did you kill us? It wasn't us who did it. If you have the ability, then go and kill that kid." The old man said coldly, "You saw the people of the Yu family being killed, yet you didn't help. You deserve to die 10,000 times." After he finished speaking, he swung his saber again. A terrifying saber light flashed and split these people apart. Then, the old man turned around and soared into the sky. "I don't care who you are. You can't escape." An ice dragon was roaring on the boundless land, and there were two people on it. They were Lin Xian and Xueqi. Their target this time was the Soul Valley. The speed of the ice dragon was extremely fast. It was as fast as lightning. However, at this moment, the ice tornado roared, as though it had discovered an enemy. What had appeared? Xueqi formed a hand seal with her palms, and she said, "Husband, it seems like someone is blocking our path." When Lin Xian heard this, he opened his eyes. The light of reincarnation condensed into a heavenly eye. It was like a heavenly deity looking down from high above. Under his gaze, he could clearly see that there seemed to be another moon in front of him. That moon was a crescent moon, and it was rotating between heaven and earth. Its moonlight enveloped everything. Moreover, the moonlight was spreading. It didn't take long for it to envelop them. In the next instant, they felt that the space around them seemed to have changed. It was as though an invisible hand was covering their surroundings. The pressure they felt was as heavy as a mountain. Xueqi waved her hand, and the ice dragon stopped. She furrowed her brows and said, "Who is it? Come out." An old man walked out of the moonlight in front of them. This old man was tall, and his hair was white. His hair was fluttering in the wind, and he stood there like the sky. A terrifying power condensed on his body. When Xueqi saw this, she furrowed her brows. This old man was unexpectedly a great emperor. The Yu family's old demon's eyes were ice-cold as he looked in front of him. Soon, his gaze fell on Lin Xian. "That's right, it's you. You are the one who killed my Yu family's people." Previously, when he was collecting their souls, he already knew who his enemy was. Now, when he saw Lin Xian, he was even more certain of his guess. "Young man, do you know who the person you just killed was? It was my Yu family's young master. Do you know what the consequences are? Now, come back with me obediently and accept your punishment. Don't make me attack you, or you will regret it." So, it's the Yu family's people. When Lin Xian heard this, he laughed. "Then, do you know how arrogant your Yu family's people were before? Our Yu family's people were born to be arrogant in this world. Do you not accept this?" Old Demon Yu snorted coldly, and light bloomed on his body. The moon in the sky fell, and the surrounding void kept shattering. He was really overbearing. Did he really think that he was the ruler of the world? Lin Xian's face also darkened. He said, "Are you the only one who came? You are not strong enough. Brat, you're really arrogant. Is your backer the woman beside you? Although she is also a great emperor, there are strong and weak great emperors. I can feel that she is no match for me. Wait until I defeat her, then I will kill you." After saying that, Old Demon Yuya waved his hand, and the moon in the sky fell, turning into millions of moonlight blades, and slashed down. Each blade attack carried the laws of the earth and immortal energy, and was extremely powerful. The other saints and great emperors could not resist at all. You want to hurt my husband? Do you think you can do it? Shueqi also made her move. Like an ice goddess, she waved her hand, and a storm swept out. The whole world was covered in ice, and snow covered thousands of miles. The moonlight in the sky was frozen in an instant, and it flickered with blue light. Not only that, the chilliness swept towards the Yu clan's old demon. Boom! In an instant, old demon Yuya was frozen. Boom! Old demon Yuya roared angrily, and the scimitar in his hand moved. With him as the center, the ice shattered. However, new ice appeared, and the two sides were in a deadlock. Old demon Yuya frowned. No, you are not an ordinary great emperor. There is something wrong with your body. He was too surprised. He could feel that Shueqi had just become a great emperor, and she was a newcomer. Such a realm could not be compared to an expert of the older generation like him. It would not be a problem for him to defeat her. However, as soon as they started fighting, he realized that he was wrong. He seemed to be suppressed by his opponent. Damn it! Moon Demon Slash. He used his great emperor's secret technique. A blinding light was emitted from it. The void seemed to ripple, and it shattered. At this moment, the ice in the sky melted, and a huge blade light fell down, fusing with the crescent moon in the sky. You can't block it. Old Demon Yuya's voice was sonorous, and it was filled with confidence. Humph! A cold look appeared in Shueqi's eyes. She formed a hand seal, and then slapped out. 9 Divine Claw. The wind and snow between heaven and earth became even more terrifying, and it seemed like even the light dimmed. Then, a claw flew out, and it seemed to cross the universe. It slapped out fiercely. Chapter 60:31. A violent roar came from the void and swept out in all directions. The dim moonlight barrier shattered instantly. The power of the great emperors burst out and swept out in all directions. Behind them, the experts who had followed Lin Xian and the others also stopped. They were shocked and doubtful. What happened in front of them? Not good. Retreat. Some of the stronger ones retreated quickly. In an instant, they saw the void within thousands of miles was filled with cracks, and it continued to spread toward them. What is this? This power is too terrifying. Run away quickly. Countless cries of surprise could be heard. It was the power of the great emperors. Everyone was pushed far away when the great emperors were fighting. Their faces were full of horror, and they didn't dare to go forward anymore. Even in the 9 serenities, the great emperors were existences that countless people looked up to. Why didn't they know that 2 great emperors were fighting in front of them? Among them, a peerless expert said, "Why do I feel that the aura of one of the great emperors is the law of the Yu family? Is the great emperor of the Yu family here? Looking at the route, it seems that he is going for that arrogant boy. It's over. That boy is dead meat. Who asked him to offend the Yu family? The Yu family was a family that lived in the ancient city. There was more than one great emperor in the city. How could he resist them? However, who was the second great emperor's aura? They didn't know. Could it be that the boy had a backer? These people could only wait in confusion. In front of them, after the earth-shattering collision, the 2 figures retreated. Then, they stopped in the void. Shueqi's body was spotless. The wind blew her hair, but it couldn't blow away the coldness on her body. Her eyes were colder than ice. She said in a deep voice, "You are just... oh, damn it. This woman is so terrifying. Why haven't I heard of her before?" The old demon of the Yu family frowned. It seemed that he had to use some of his lost techniques. He snorted and waved his hand. Endless moonlight rolled and condensed into a battle armor. He put it on. Now that he had the moon devil armor, his defense had increased exponentially. At the same time, a crescent moon flashed out from between his eyebrows. The aura of the moon kept revolving around him. A strand of immortal chi wrapped around his saber. Next, I'm going to get serious. You might die. Old demon, you said coldly. Just you? Shueqi shook her head. I can't do it. In the next moment, her 9 divine body was completely unleashed. An even more frightening frost energy spread out. The frost flame on his body was flickering non-stop. That flame was even colder than the 10,000-year frost ice. Lin Xian watched from behind with a smile on his face. He wasn't worried at all because he knew Xueqi's power. This old man was no match for him at all. He estimated that after 1,000 moves, this old man would be injured. In the next instant, the two people in front of him made their moves. They were like lightning from the 9 heavens as they clashed. An earth-shattering aura erupted once again. The power of a great emperor was boundless. At this moment, everyone was trembling in fear. While they were fighting, the space behind them suddenly split open. A silver-white ray of light shot towards Lin Xian's back. Its speed was so fast that it startled everyone. With a loud boom, it rushed towards Lin Xian's back. A thunderous sound rang out, and Lin Xian's body shook violently. Soon after, the silver-white ray of light turned into a huge silver-white flower that rushed towards Lin Xian. It wanted to engulf him completely. "Young man, become the nourishment of my flower." An ear-piercing sound echoed in the air, and it made people's hair stand on end. When old Demon Yu, who was fighting in front of them, saw this scene, he narrowed his eyes. Someone was trying to benefit from it. However, forget it. It doesn't matter who killed that lad. He sneered coldly and said, "Aren't you going to save him?" Xueqi, who was in front of him, looked at him coldly and expressionlessly. "My husband's power isn't something you can imagine. More than one great emperor has died in his hands. He doesn't need me to save him." When old Demon Yu heard this, he was stunned. "What? That lad killed a great emperor? What kind of joke is this? That lad isn't even a great emperor. Where did he get such ability?" He didn't believe it. However, he found that the woman in front of him wasn't anxious at all. This surprised him greatly. The huge silver-white flower behind her kept swallowing. It seemed that even divine weapons would be crushed by it. In the distance, those who were waiting also exclaimed. Among them was the 9-crowned king. He said, "I can feel the aura of the second great emperor. That lad's life signs have disappeared. Could it be that he has died? Heavens, 2 great emperors came to kill him. Even if he died, his name would be remembered in the 9 underworlds. It's a pity. He could have competed with Yu Tianqian. He had the hope of becoming a great emperor. However, he offended someone he shouldn't have and died in the end. A dead genius is nothing. You must remember that you can't offend any of the families in the ancient city." The surrounding young people kept nodding. These words were like the truth that was deeply imprinted in their souls. "Don't you think you're too naive to think that you can kill me with a flower?" Suddenly, a young voice rang out, shocking the powerhouse behind the fresh flowers. "You're still alive? This is impossible." "Refine." A cold voice rang out. However, the entire void started to tremble. The silver flowers were also swaying non-stop as they let out mournful cries. Then, it was torn into 2 petals. The flowers danced in the sky, withered and sad. A figure walked out from the petals. It was none other than Lin Xian. Lin Xian was completely unharmed. His eyes were incomparably bright as he stared behind him. "You're not from the Yu family. Which great emperor are you from? Why did you attack me? You're still alive." A middle-aged man in black walked out of the void behind him. The flower in the middle-aged man's hand had already withered. His face was terrifyingly cold. "Damn it! I spent so much effort to cultivate this flower demon with immortal qi. To think that it was actually destroyed by you. You're unforgivable. I'll let you know the power of the Shinin family." "Shinin family?" Lin Xian was taken aback. "Oh, I remember now. There was indeed a reason when I was in the villa. The members of the family were reckless. They were killed by me as if I was swatting flies." "Are you also here for revenge?" "Damn kid, it's good that you know." The Black Een patriarch roared crazily. "You'll die if you offend our family. He's still alive." Old Demon Yu, who was fighting in the front, was also shocked. He didn't believe Xueqi when she said that. But now, he realized that she didn't seem to be lying. This young man was too terrifying. He had the combat strength of a great emperor. What kind of monster is he? After tearing the flower into pieces, Lin Xian said in a deep voice, Black Yin Patriarch, I'll remember you. You should also remember my name. My name is Lin Wudi. After saying that, he threw a punch forward. Dazzling light lit up the world. Raging flames swept out in all directions. At this moment, the sky seemed to be pierced by the sun. The whole world turned into daytime. Chapter 6032. Feeling the terror of Lin Xian's punch, the Black Yin Patriarch didn't dare to be careless. He performed the dark Yin giant handprint. He slapped it hard. The two collided, shaking heaven and earth. The void cracked, and the surrounding mountains were torn apart. The boulders rolled down, and the black hole on the roof spread into the distance. Those who were watching the battle in the distance retreated in horror. Their faces were full of fear. Among them, the Nine-Crowned King exclaimed, That arrogant boy's vitality has appeared again. Oh my God, what's going on? Did he come back to life again? What a powerful force. The Black Yin Patriarch was also shocked by the power of Lin Quan's fist. What kind of physique is this? The power of the purest yang. You're not from the ninth serenity. How did you survive here? The transcendent power in his opponent's body is completely opposite to that of the ninth serenity. How can he exist? There are many things you don't know. Lin Xian snorted and punched out like a dragon. He kept falling and attacking the Black Yin Patriarch. The Black Yin Patriarch was also angry. Damn it, are you looking down on me? He kept waving his palms. The power in the sky gathered toward him, causing the immortal qi on his body to become even more terrifying. A ferocious look appeared on his face, making him look like a cunning fox. He said, Boy, your power will be greatly restrained in the ninth serenity, so you'll be in despair. The dark Yin palm. The Black Yin Patriarch's palm burst out endless power and slapped down hard. At the same time, the mystic petals also danced. A giant gloomy flower petal appeared under his feet. There were 9 petals in total, and they quickly closed around Lin Xian. Once surrounded, he would be turned into a pool of blood. Even a great emperor wouldn't dare to resist. Let's see how you can dodge it. In the next moment, the mystic petals enveloped Lin Xian again. The Black Yin Patriarch laughed complacently. Go to hell. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the 9 petals split open again, and the piercing sword light spread for thousands of miles. The great grandmaster of the Black Yin sect was shocked. He was dumbfounded. You came out alive? That's impossible. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Idiot. The immortal slaying sword thrust out and cut off one of the Black Yin ancestors' arms. The great grandmaster of the mysterious dark sect was injured. He held his arm and retreated, his face full of shock. What kind of sword qi is this? The sword energy that killed you. The celestial slaying sword slashed down once again, and a violent killing intent swept out, as if it could destroy the world. The great ancestor of the Black Yin sect shot out countless flower petals to form a barrier. Together with the immortal qi, they blocked the attack. He was shaken to the point that his qi and blood were roiling, and he kept retreating. Then, he roared, Heal. The other injuries on his body healed quickly. However, the recovery speed of his broken arm was extremely slow. Obviously, there was an invincible force that was crazily tearing his wounds apart. Damn it, what exactly is this power? Why does it make me feel fear in my soul? Boom! At this moment, the Yu family's old demon was finally injured. He was sent flying by Xue Qi's 9 Yin divine palm. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and a terrifying icy palm print could be seen on his body. He roared angrily, Old demon of the Black Yin sect, let's join hands. These two youngsters are too strange. All right. The two great emperors quickly met up. Their fragrant bodies kept erupting as they prepared to join hands to fight the enemy. Are you sure you want to join hands? A strange look appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. The great ancestor of the Black Yin sect smiled. What? Are you afraid? If you are, then you should obediently surrender. Lin Xian shook his head. I'm afraid that you will die too quickly. Let's join hands. We will let them know what it means to join hands to fight the enemy. Xueqi nodded and smiled after hearing his words. With her and Lin Xian's physique, once they joined hands, their power would be unimaginably terrifying. The two of them walked together, and the light on their bodies kept erupting. 9 yin and 9 yang. The combination of yin and yang could be called the emperor of the world. The power of the two of them was completely opposite. However, at this moment, they were perfectly fused together. Boom! A torrent-like power erupted, and the vast aura could even shatter the universe. The two great emperors were dumbfounded. What is this? The physiques of the two of you are so terrifying. 9 yin and 9 yang. Could it be that there are two super strong physiques under the starry sky? Why are the two of you here? The two great emperors were completely alarmed. They had lived for tens of thousands of years, and they had seen countless strange things. They had also gone through many difficult battles. However, they had never been as shocked as they were now. They were invincible. They had to temporarily retreat. The two great emperors looked at each other. Then, they chose to retreat at the same time. If other people saw this, they would be scared silly. The two great emperors had joined hands, yet they chose to run away. Boom! The two of them were very fast, and they used their movement techniques to the extreme. They tore open the void and escaped quickly. Where are you going? Lin Xian shouted coldly as he and Xueqi attacked. Both of them linked their fingers together, and a yin-yang fist flew out. With a loud boom, the void in front of them was completely shattered. The two great emperors cried out in pain. They didn't manage to escape. They were hit by this power, and many cracks appeared on their bodies. Blue blood dyed the 9 heavens. At this moment, the vision of heaven and earth exploded. Countless powerhouses knelt down. It was like the end of the world. After this attack, the two great emperors escaped with injuries. Lin Xian and Xueqi withdrew their fists and said coldly, "You ran fast? Keep going." The two of them rode on the ice dragon and left. The people who were waiting behind them were dumbfounded. What was that? That aura was so powerful. I felt that it surpassed the great emperors. Could it be that someone has cultivated 2 strands of immortal qi? Even the Yu family's people were beaten away? Is it the expert behind that arrogant guy? Countless guesses could be heard. However, none of them were able to guess correctly. The news of this palm also spread. For a moment, all the sects and families in the 9 serenities were shocked. The Yu family was an extremely powerful family. The great emperor of the Yu family was even more terrifying. However, he was scared away by someone, and he was even severely injured. This was simply an appalling thing. The Yu family's people frowned when they heard this. He is really arrogant. No one has dared to challenge our Yu family for a long time. Let's wait and let Tianchun prove his Tao first. He is very talented. Once he becomes a great emperor, his future will be limitless. Maybe he can cultivate 2 strands of immortal qi. After Tianchun becomes a great emperor, we will kill that arrogant guy. Just in case, we will send another great emperor to protect Tianchun secretly. The Yu family sent another great emperor. They went to the Soul Valley. This time, Tianchun was going to prove his Tao. They would not allow him to fail. The Soul Valley was already crowded with people. It was said that there was an extremely terrifying treasure in the Soul Valley. After getting it, one's strength would definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Even some martial monarchs had shown up. There were also some people who had hopes of proving their Tao. However, among them, the most famous one was Yu Tianchun. The news that Yu Tianchun was going to prove his Tao had spread. Countless people were shocked. At this time, no one could surpass Yu Tianchun. It was estimated that there were not many people who could compete with him. Therefore, the possibility of Yu Tianchun becoming a great emperor had greatly increased. Therefore, some people came to look for treasures, and some just came to watch the fun. They wanted to see Tianchun's glory. Chapter 6033. The Soul Valley was a very mysterious place in the 9 serenities. There was a soul suppression here. As soon as one got close, One's soul would feel like a piece of cloth being controlled by a pair of invisible hands. It would be torn apart at any time. Although the Soul Valley was dangerous, there were still many people around. Some experts had occupied the advantageous terrain and were waiting silently. Lin Xian and Xueqi also came. The two of them hid their powerful aura and hid in the crowd. Lin Xian looked at the valley in front of him and was surprised. He felt an extraordinary power. Xueqi said, "It seems that there are good things in there. Don't worry, the things inside must be yours. The Yu family can't compete with us. Do you want me to take it now?" Lin Xian shook his head and said, Don't worry. Let's wait and see." Lin Xian was ready to wait patiently. At the same time, there were some powerful elders around. They were discussing. It seemed that Yu Tianqin was very confident to become a great emperor this time. Yes, there was another one, the proud daughter of the Nanling family. But she didn't expect that at the last moment, she went mad and failed. This time, she was no match for Yu Tianqin. Was there no one in the Xia family who could become a great emperor this time? Some young people were confused. An elder said, "There are some problems in the Xia family recently. Haven't you heard? A peerless expert, a mysterious great emperor, attacked the Xia family and killed many of their experts. Even a great emperor of the Xia family was injured." Now, the Xia family was in a state of panic. They were calling back their disciples and looking for that person all over the world. Who was it? What? Someone dared to challenge the Xia family. It was unbelievable. Who was so bold? When Lin Xian heard the news, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. He knew that it was the corpse emperor who he had rescued. The corpse emperor had cultivated 2 divine fires. He was very powerful. The Xia family was going to be busy. After waiting for 3 more days, more and more people arrived. However, Yu Tianqin was still nowhere to be seen. This made many people puzzled. What was going on? Was young Master Yu not coming? Some young geniuses said, "We can't wait any longer. Let's go in and get the treasure first." It seemed that he had no fate with this treasure. Many people rose into the air and flew towards the Valley of Souls. The eyes of the others also flickered as they prepared to move. However, at this moment, a cold shout was heard. Who would dare? The aura of a great emperor descended. Countless people were terrified. The geniuses at the front all stopped in their tracks. They were extremely shocked. "Greetings, great emperor." These people all bowed, and an old man descended from the sky. The old man was tall and had white hair. The moonlight on his forehead flickered with a hazy aura. However, he was wearing a loose black robe. It was Old Demon Crescent Moon. That was an ancestor-level figure. Was he here to protect Yu Tianqin? Many people were shocked. Those young disciples were all envious. Being born into a powerful family was truly a blessing in disguise. There would be great emperors coming to protect them at any time. After the old demon of the Yu family arrived, he said coldly, "Don't you know that the treasure in the Valley of Souls has been coveted by the Yu family? Young Master Yu Tianqin is on his way here. This treasure is his. You can only wait. Do you understand?" After hearing this, everyone gasped. Many people's faces turned pale. However, some people were not convinced. "Can't we wait for 10 or 100 years? If he doesn't come, we can't do anything?" The old demon of the Yu family's face darkened. He stared at the man who spoke and snorted coldly. Immediately, the voice was like thunder. The middle-aged man who spoke had his body split open, and his soul was destroyed. The others were scared and knelt on the ground. "Great Emperor, please calm down. We understand." At this moment, no one dared to make a move. Those geniuses who were not convinced before also turned pale. It was good that they understood. The old demon of the Yu family rose into the sky. He stood in the sky and waited silently. The people below him were extremely quiet. What an arrogant fellow. Xueqi frowned slightly and looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "We won't wait anymore. I wanted to see what kind of person he is. I didn't expect that he would waste 3 days of my time. Let's go and take the things inside." After saying that, the two of them walked outside. "Look, someone is heading toward the valley. Who is so reckless?" The great emperor of the Yu family was here. Who would dare to make a move? Even the Nine-Crown King was killed by a voice. Did the others think that they could resist it? Countless cries of surprise rang out. They looked up. They saw two figures walking over. It was a man and a woman. The man was extremely handsome, and the woman was as beautiful as a fairy. They could not sense any terrifying energy from the two young people. Which family did they come from? It was a pity that they were going to die at such a young age. Did the elders of their families not tell them that they could not challenge the great emperor? Countless people shook their heads and sighed. The old demon of the Yu family opened his eyes. Who was so reckless? He lowered his head and said, "You two ants, do you want to die? You lost to me. How dare you make a move?" Shueqi said coldly. The old demon of the Yu family was furious. The others were also shocked. They were challenging a great emperor. They would probably suffer a fate worse than death. The old demon of the Yu family was murderous. The power of the great emperor shattered the void. He descended like a god. However, when he came down and saw Lin Xian and Xueju, his body trembled. His face became extremely ugly. "It's you." He rose into the air as if he was going to escape. God, what did I just see? A great emperor was so scared that he ran away. That's impossible. How could two young people scare a great emperor? Was he dreaming? Asking the Yu family emperor to help? Many people exclaimed. The great emperor was a godlike figure in their hearts. How could he be scared and retreat? Damn it, Junior, don't go too far. The old demon of the Yu family roared. Lin Xian smiled. Do you want to fight? Come on, but you'll have to bear the consequences. His eyes seemed to have turned into a furnace, blooming with endless light as if it could turn the universe into ashes. The scorching aura shook the souls of countless people. They kept retreating. Is this young man the reincarnation of the god of sun? Why is he so scary? The old demon of the Yu family didn't seem to dare to resist. He rose into the air in fear and retreated again. Previously, he and the Black Insect's patriarch were no match for Lin Xian even when they joined forces. Now, he was alone. Trash, Lin Xian said coldly. Then, he turned around and continued to move toward the Soul Valley. God, the great emperor of the Yu family was scared away. He was called trash, but he still didn't make a move. Is this really a great emperor? What is he afraid of? Everyone felt that the faith in their hearts had collapsed. Aren't great emperors high and mighty? Aren't they supreme beings who can sweep away everything? Why are they so timid now? However, no matter how these people roared, the old demon of the Yu family still stood there. Although his face was terrifyingly dark, he didn't dare to make a move. Chapter 60:34. Countless doubtful eyes fell on the old demon of the Yu clan like sharp swords. This made the old demon of the Yu clan feel extremely aggrieved. As a great emperor, he was superior to everyone. But now, he was being doubted and looked down upon. How could he not be angry? However, he really couldn't defeat these two young people. Now, he regretted that he didn't look at them before he attacked. If he had checked in advance, he should have found these two people. At that time, he could have hidden and wouldn't have been embarrassed like now. Now, the scene really made him feel like a year. It was abnormally ugly. But fortunately, at this moment, someone saved him. In the distance, an extremely bright light appeared. Then, the roars of all kinds of divine beasts sounded. Between heaven and earth, a ray of light shrouded the whole space. Countless people turned their heads and looked, exclaiming, "Heaven and earth anomaly." Even Lin Xian and Shueqi stopped. They turned their heads and looked into the distance. Someone was coming. Shueqi was surprised. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It's that person from the Yu clan. He could feel the bloodline of the Yu clan in that person. Interesting. Let me see just what kind of talent he has, right? Lin Xian stood in front of the valley with his hands behind his back. At the same time, in the distance, a figure walked over. Under this figure, the great path surrounded by endless light. Around him, there were 4 terrifying demonic beast phantoms. These 4 demonic beasts were the dragon of the 9 underworlds, the fire of the 9 underworlds, the phoenix of the 9 underworlds, and the turtle of the 9 underworlds. If they were in the outside universe, they would be called the 4 divine beasts. In the 9 underworlds, they were also existences like the saint beast totems. Generally, any person accompanied by such a heaven and earth anomaly would be able to shake heaven and earth. Now, all 4 of the saint beast totems were surrounding a person. This scene was really shocking. Countless people exclaimed, "God, this is Yu Tianqian of the Yu clan. His talent is too strong." For sacred beast totems circled around his body. How terrifying was his talent! This person, after becoming a great emperor, would be able to go very far. "Greetings, young Master Yu Tianqian." The surrounding people bowed one after another. All sorts of shouts and shouts resounded like a sudden clap of thunder. Old Demon Yu also smiled and said, "Young Master, you're here?" He could finally heave a sigh of relief, because all the glory would return to the Yu family. Yu Tianqian nodded. He was surrounded by 4 saint beast totems. He was like a god, high and mighty. He looked at the valley and said, "Is the thing still inside?" Naturally, the great emperor of Yu clan laughed and said, "No one dares to take it." When he said this, he deliberately glared at Lin Xian and said, "But, what? Is there anyone who dares to go against us? Just kill him." Yu Tianqian said indifferently. The old demon of the Yu clan took a deep breath and said, "The people this time are not ordinary. The 2 of them are great emperors." After he spoke, he pointed at Lin Xian and Xue Qi. "Oh, these 2 people." His gaze landed on her. What a beautiful woman. She's actually a great emperor-level genius. He acknowledged this person. However, the young man next to her was obviously not a great emperor. Is this person also very powerful? Is it possible that he's more powerful than me? Thinking of this, a trace of disdain appeared in his eyes. He was a person who was about to become a great emperor. He didn't care about anything. So he said, "Ancestor, I'll leave that woman to you. As for the other guy, leave him to me." After that, he walked forward. "Wait," the old demon of the Yu clan said. "You can't do it." "What?" Yu Tianqian frowned. "Ancestor, you don't believe me. Do you think I'm not as good as him?" The old demon of the Yu clan didn't know what to say. Now, for Yu Tianqian, the most important thing was confidence. He couldn't attack the other party at this time. However, the guy in front of him was too terrifying. Once they fought, it would not be just a matter of attacking. It was very likely that he would end up miserable. Just as he was thinking about how to tell the other party tactfully, Yu Tianqian snorted coldly. "I want to see if he has 3 heads and 6 arms. I can't touch him." After that, he quickly walked over. "Look!" The surrounding people exclaimed in surprise. They saw Yu Tianqian walking toward the 2 people in front of him with the 4 Saint Beast totems. These 2 people were going to be unlucky. Yes, can these 2 young people really challenge the Yu clan? I feel that they will end up miserable. Do you dare to fight with me? Yu Tianqian looked down and pointed at Lin Xian. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and said, "You haven't proved your Tao yet. You are no match for me. So, you don't deserve it. Not to mention you, even your ancestor is no match for me. Look at him. How dare he be arrogant in front of me? Get out of here. I want the thing inside." Everyone went crazy. What is this young man doing? Is he challenging Yu Tianqian? He's too reckless. After all, Lin Xian didn't release any powerful aura. No one knew who Lin Xian was. In their opinion, no one in the younger generation could challenge Yu Tian City. Yu Tianqian's face also darkened. He snorted and said, "I don't know how many years has passed since anyone dared to look down on me. Boy, you will regret your words and actions." After that, he waved his embroidered robe and an extremely terrible moonlight power flew out. It was like a knife light, chilling people's hearts. This boy will be split in half. That's for sure. How can he resist it? The biting cold knife light suddenly collapsed in front of Lin Xian. It turned into countless moonlight fragments and scattered on the ground. Well, what's going on? Many people frowned. Yu Tianqian was also stunned. Is it the woman next to him who helped him? He said, "Boy," standing behind a woman, What are you? If you have the guts, come out and fight. I'm afraid you can't bear it, Lin Xian said lightly. Damn it. An extremely terrible moonlight appeared on Yu Tianqin's body. It was his immortal qi seed. It was only one step away from the real immortal qi. He formed a seal with his palms and formed an extremely terrible Milky Way. It crossed the ages and attacked. The Milky Way was upside down and swept across the 9 heavens. Everyone was terrified. Yu Tianqin was really too powerful. Is this the person who is about to prove his Tao? It's too terrifying. Only a real great emperor could resist him. A few of the old 9 crown kings were amazed. After hearing this, the others were even more shocked. They wanted to know how Lin Xian was going to resist it. Facing such a terrible attack, Lin Xian smiled disdainfully. Then, he stretched out a finger and pointed forward. The 9 suns' divine fire danced on his fingertip. Then, the whole world was completely boiling. This finger carried a terrible flame and turned into a divine sword, piercing through the world. With a boom, the world was shattered. The Milky Way in the sky was quickly evaporated under this finger. Countless clouds and mist filled the air, forming a sea of clouds. This finger directly pierced through Yu Tianqin's body. With a scream, blood dyed the 9 heavens. Yu Tianqin was seriously injured. He was defeated in one move. The people below looked up. At this moment, they were stunned. Who is this young man? Is he a young great emperor? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.